Live stream here on Lee Chess and Twitch. One of my personal favorite streams of the week. This is our weekly subscriber stream. I am going to share this. Mr. Coffee, welcome, Asterbait. Check it out. Just bear with me, everybody. I'm making a short post here. Check it out. Subscriber games. Subscriber game analysis. I gotta get a new keyboard. Welcome everybody to my stream, International Master Ponda. With our mascot, Sladgie here. Alright. Mr. Coffee. Check it out, Wendy. Got a lot of submissions today. Mr. Coffee Yabatis has suggested he can help me by helping to organize the games submitted for Thursday. He's offered to take the submissions for Thursdays and put them into a study so that I can just go there and analyze the games for this stream. And I thought this is a reasonable idea. Appreciate his offer. What we'd have to do is make a command, maybe. Do you think you could help us create a submission command or something like submit command? Submit command, and then the games can, in there we can put Yabatis's handle, Spectacular Camel, or something like that, and he could just get the games and send them to me, because I have a tendency to lose them. We're a little disorganized. This week we're good though. Spectacular Camel. Spectacular Camel, what is your Lichess handle? Iobates. So Mr. Coffee could make a submit command, and then in the submit command it would say, please submit your games to Yabatis on you could add it to the Thursday command. That's cool. So this week we have subscriber games. WJ Loof broke the jinx. We had not until now did we get any cheers this week. So I feel, isn't that right? That was our first cheer for the week. WJ Loof, it's already Thursday. We have our first cheer for this week. It was a bad start to the week. It is sad. I'm sad. But I'm happy now. WJ Loof donated 500 bits. I can afford to drink a beer. Good beer. I wanted to buy some Bernard Czech beer, but the online site that I was ordering it from ran out for Easter. I was going to get some free glasses and everything. I can't buy beer without bits. I do have some beers left over from previous donations, though. So, Mr. WJ Loof, thank you for donating 500 bits. This is a subscriber stream. I'm going to be going over subscriber games up until 10. I've got the following people: Mr. Slowhand, Yabatis, Asada Masa, Uber, Kakatiri, Bijak, Asterbait is late this week. Princess Chess also late. And WJ Loof. WJ Loof, the latest. You're latest and you just donated bits and you're going to be last. WJ Loof, would you prefer if I would do your game earlier? Because I know, not just because you're here and you just donated 500 bits. I don't know what's better for you. You know, if you want to hang out for the whole stream, or if you'd rather if I did your game toward the beginning of the list, nobody else really cares. So let me know. As our first weekly sponsor, I want to offer WJ Loof, since he's here, the chance. You want to go ahead and do it earlier? Alright. Yeah, we'll do your game in the early going. Actually, we could do it now. I don't know if Mr. Slow is here. He's first on the list, but I don't see him in the chat yet. Can you be earlier? Alright, P-Jock. We'll do you earlier too. And then we'll do those guys earlier. But we can't have everybody begging to go early. WJ Loof. Then Mr. Slow. B-Jock. And we'll go from there. You bought us. Alright. Whatever. Alright, we'll do B-Jock first. Mr. Slow's not here yet. So, let me go to my messages and we'll get started. It's extremely hot here, by the way. I do need beer now. Don't forget to submit your games. I think we've got enough games for today. Thursday command, thank you. Thursday command can be modified, so we submit the games to Yabatis. Alright, we've got Asahi beer, Asahi dry. I like my beer like I like my martinis. Alright. Very dry. You're actually home this week, had exposure. 21, yeah, it's like 20 degrees here. 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Whatever. No, 21 degrees Celsius. Alright, it's very, very warm for the 1st of April. The Earth is playing an April Fool's Day joke on us. For April Fool's, I was going to do a bullet and puzzle stream. What do you guys think about that? Alright, here's B-Jock's game. This is called Asahi Super Dry. Snuggles the Snail, welcome. Big fan of yours, Snuggles the Snail. And I'm not in a hurry, if anyone's seen me. I'm rather slow. Wow, you got your game shared on Twitter and you got 40,000 viewers. Alright. I wish I was famous like Agad Mator. But sadly, can't have everything. I have my beauty though. Alright, this is Sumahair playing white against AG1234. I'll take beauty over fame any day. So we have Sumahair playing white, D4, D6, C4, C6. Unusual opening by black. There is a guy, Sergio, in my simuls, who's playing this check defense sort of old Indian formation every game. This is quite unusual. C6, Knight C3. I don't think there's any way to take advantage of this, just likely to turn into a King's Indian. Mr. Coffee added command. Did it work? The Anglo-Slav. It's just a weird old Indian, man. That's all it is. Knight C3, G6, E4, Bishop G7. It's simply a King's Indian with an earlier C6. We did see this with one of my students today. Game with exact idea, colors reversed. Black wants to focus on D4, and also Queen B6 can pop in there, putting pressure on D4. I would be wary of that. So it's not clear Knight F3 is necessarily the best move. I mean, you're making it possible for him to exercise more control over D4 by pinning your knight or trading off your knight. Perhaps a more subtle move order like Bishop E3 first. Why not Bishop E3 first rather than Knight F3 necessarily? I mean, of course you can do other things. You could play the 4 pawns attack But then queen b6. This is some kind of messed up weird line. Close to a modern. It's like a modern defense, except white has played c4. Yeah, bishop e2, another good suggestion. Perhaps. Again, I mean, black can play queen b6, so he keeps putting pressure on that d4 pawn. This is kind of annoying, either way. You know, like bishop e3 would give you options, though. You could transfer to a same-ish type of setup with f3. That's probably my preference, to play bishop e3 here. I can't see how bishop e3 isn't good. It's funny that if you look at statistics, knight f3 has the best score. But I can't really see a downside to bishop e3 in this type of position. Alright, knight f3. So he doesn't play bishop g4. Probably he needs to play bishop g4. It's kind of the only thing that really makes sense. Specifically. Otherwise, he's just playing a King's Indian where he randomly played c6, which is what happens now. Knight f6. Sometimes they play c6 before d6, which is even more tricky. See, the problem is now maybe bishop g4 still makes some sense. That's what he does. Again, I like bishop e3 over protecting the d4 pawn. So now, I've played games like this with black. I had a game with Glazirov where I played a similar setup with black. And I think I put my knight fd7. I managed to draw. I borrowed this from Wojtkiewicz, who played it against me in a similar structure. There's actually the idea knight fd7, knight a6, knight c7, believe it or not, and knight e6, which I've used to some effect, where everything revolves around black trying to play for control of d4. That's what he does here. It's some kind of interesting idea where he's basically trying to do this stuff with knight a6. Also makes sense. Now rook e1. Oh, you played h3. Rook e1 next move. Okay, h3. This looks like very similar to how I lost to Wojtkiewicz. But I didn't lose because of the opening. Later I lost in a weird game where I had like 2 rooks for a queen or something. But I mean, this move seems more developmental. So h3 takes, and he doesn't take. Bishop d7 it's a catastrophe. The whole point is to trade pieces when you have less space here. The whole point is to focus on the d4 square. Bishop takes, queen takes, knight d7, pressure on d4. Then he can do the Wojtkiewicz knight c7, knight e6. Put even more, just try to dial up even more pressure on the one weak point in white's position. And this is just, so this is not like even just a tactical mistake. It's like the worst positional move ever. Bishop d7, taking away his knight square, so he can't open his bishop on the long diagonal. Rook e1, and you're actually, yeah, you could actually be threatening e5 yourself. If he doesn't castle, you can hit him with e5. Knight b4, I don't want to give him the bishop. If black can play e5, he should. It's just that I'm not sure that he can. I mean, like here, he's losing a pawn. I don't, you know, I don't see him with a discovery here, with the rook, and it's too late, you know. It looks like it's too late. He should just castle and take his chances. I would say. And you're just better. You're just better. I'm not sure you should play e5. Probably you should just keep building your position, smothering him, with space. But, yeah, this is another waste of time, I guess, knight b4. And I don't know, probably bishop f1. I want to guard the king's side, especially with his bishop attacking h3. You can later play like g3. So I don't like giving him the bishop. His knight is on a bad square where it's vulnerable. You should definitely get it away from there. Leave his knight hanging out to dry, so to speak, as they say. Bishop e1 doesn't have a lot of prospects against the g6 pawn. That's an alternative. It would also box your rook in on a1. Bishop f1 is the best move. That's a normal move for me. You gave him the white square bishop. Look, it's not that bad. It's a bad piece. It's your worst minor piece, maybe. But you're still allowing him to make any exchanges. It's probably the wrong idea here. Queen d3. And now he should castle. What is his problem with castling? Does this guy have something against castling? Queen c8. This is a cheap coffee house idea, which is probably unsound. And he didn't try that. That's too much. He can't do this. After like bishop h3, pawn h3, queen h3, I would imagine knight h2, and he's just lost. He's probably just lost here. I mean, he's got 2 pawns for a piece. He can't do that. And your queen can come back to f1, actually. This is a good. So that's not on. He castles. You have a massive space advantage and played e5. It reminds me a little bit of like the hippo. Oftentimes white gives up the white square bishop on d3 in the hippo. But you have to be careful. You definitely have to be careful here. If the position opens up for his bishops, he's going to be in good shape. And by playing e5, you give him this square for his bishop, potentially. The biggest problem is, like, where is he going to put his knight? Do you want to sack your queen for 3 pieces? Oh, you did. All right. I swear to God, I didn't know that until I looked at the board and realized it's a possibility. That happens in the Pirch defense. So this is a fun game because you got to sack your queen. So what he has to do in reality would be like bishop f5, but he tried to do that. You sack the queen. So he could alternatively play knight e8, and that's his best move. He has to try knight e8, and you're just better. You're stepping on him here with a massive spatial sort of wedge. I wouldn't want to play this position against a computer, but maybe black can survive. Another plan for you is like queen d2, bishop h6. If you're going to trade off the dark square bishop and go for kingside attacking plans. So he didn't consider the queen sack. It's nice. It's nice. You take the knight, and now you're going to get the bishop with an attack on the rook with check. So he has to allow you to sack for 3 pieces. I mean, however, technically black is up material in this position. I mean, this is playable for black. It's certainly a fun position. It's hard to break through. He's got one big pawn island, and this is the only point you can attack. The problem is eventually he'll push that pawn forward, and then you can go into other weak squares, notably d6. He played f6. I mean, he doesn't want to make any pawn moves, honestly. Probably he can survive here if he plays, like, perfectly, somehow. He wants to stop bishop g5, I guess. Maybe it's okay. f6. It stops bishop g5. It's not that he necessarily wants to play e5, but he stops you from playing the bishop g5 move. I don't know. This is game over if you get knight d4. So d5 was a cool idea. Immediately going after that weak square. The engine gives him a question mark for c5, but I mean, if this knight gets into there, I mean, he's in a lot of trouble. So you can't really blame him for that move. Now bishop f4, and you got rook e6. Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, like, I wouldn't have played f6 if I were black. I don't want to make any more pawn moves, but eventually you're going to force him to do something. I mean, he could do like h6 instead, which is less weakening in the center. h6 is probably less weakening than f6 altogether. I mean, let's see. So, the comp, what's this? So the computer says equal here after h6. Ben Feingold was right. f6 is bad. d5, c5, bishop f4. And now he just like hung his e7 pawn. That is a good move. He probably missed this. Just holding the bishop, stopping the threat, keeping the file, preparing to double. That's terrible. And you're threatening bishop takes d6. Nice game. His rooks have no open files. Wow. Yeah, this is the kind of game that maybe Agad Mator would really appreciate. g5 looks like you're rushing it a little. But, I mean, you are maybe worried about f5 by black. I don't know. I mean, rook e3 looks like natural, but you've got to deal with that. This I'm not that crazy about. So how do we make sure he doesn't get any counterplay? That's the key. Can we make sure he doesn't get any counterplay? What about rook e6? Isn't that right? Rook e6, rook e7, rook e3. Oof. Actually, you got this. So rook e6 must be killing. You played instead g5, which is loose. This is hanging. I mean, there are some things here. But yeah, g5 is a weird move. You're lucky he played f5. And now he's just dead. Now he's like dead. I mean, there's no chance anymore. b5 would be his only break, realistic break. And he can't really do it. I mean, you can play a4 if you have to. You're just stepping on him here. And that walks into knight b5, so this was crushing. No counterplay. Winning the queen, and it's over. The ambulance is on the way for said opponent. This is not nice anymore. I think it's beyond repair. So that was funny. That was a weird opening that went completely wrong for black when he decided not to trade pieces with less space. But a very nice queen sacrifice. And now you've got this evil mating attack with rook h3, which is aesthetic. Check, check, and no check. Was this a mistake? Oh, he's losing the rook, yeah. Alright, it's over. Very good. What was the time control for this game? Wow, 10-0. Very good game. Alright, thanks for sharing. This was our first game for today from Bijak. Thanks for being a subscriber. Very nice queen sacrifice. Next up is... we're going to do WJ Loof, then Mr. Slow or Ubatis. Welcome, guys, to the stream. Don't forget to donate, and don't forget to subscribe. International Master William Pascal. Mr. Coffee, thanks for working out with that thing with Ubatis about next week's game submissions. We can put it in a study. Thanks for creating a new command there. Let me know if there's any confusion. Very nice game from B-Jack. Okay, WJ Loof is next. Just a reminder, tomorrow after my stream, tomorrow I'm streaming 11 a.m. CEST, and there's a fly in front of the monitor. If you're wondering what I'm doing, Blitz stream tomorrow from 11 till around 1:30. Schieberspieler will be streaming afterwards doing a simul. He's doing a Friday simul. FIDE Master Schieberspieler. So please check it out. I'll rate him after tomorrow's stream. Guys, subscriber stream analysis here. Thanks everybody for being subscribers. Thanks Mr. Coffee for a mod. Mod skills. Next is WJ Loof. Just submitted a game. Where is it? WJ, where are you? Alright, let me try this a different way. Where is WJ? We'll just look him up. Alright, Brushing Off the Cobwebs, my first game in a while. Not bad. Did okay, but want to see where I could have done better. If you have time this Thursday. Okay. I have a busy schedule. Alright. So, this is versus Roderick. WJ playing white. And thank you, WJ, for donating 500 bits for the beer fund. Got my Asahi Dry here, which costs about 500 bits. You guys can send me beer donations, direct delivery, if you'd like to. I'll send you my address for shipping. Beer, wine, any sort of alcohol is welcome. Keep us getting through this pandemic. Always glad to support the Vices. The Vices need support. Alright, my chair is hurting my ass. Alright, anyway. D4, D5, C4, C6. D5 and C6 is somewhat better than D6 and C6, but a little more direct. So we have the Slav, the ever-popular Slav. I just analyzed Game 1 of the 1937 World Championship rematch between Ive and Alyakin. Alyakin losing on the black side of the Slav. We'll see if it's on the same level as the 1937 World Championship, WJ Loof. Let's see if you can play like Eva. But it's not a Slav. He played E6, the pawn triangle. I mean, many people consider it a form of Slav, a form of semi-Slav. The truth is the pawn triangle is kind of a separate entity. So, what you did is good. I mean, G3 is good. It's a solid way to play. It may involve sacrificing a pawn. The only thing is when you play and you're willing to part with this pawn, don't lose too much sleep or worry about getting it back. When black plays a Slav and you sacrifice the pawn on C4, oftentimes you have to make it like a long-term pawn sacrifice. It's not as easy to get back as in the Queen's Gambit. I was always hung up on this when I was a beginner. Like fear of losing my pawn forever. So G3 is possibly sacrificing that pawn. You see the most common move for black is D takes C4. And the most common for they just ignore it. Whatever. I mean, I'm looking to open up this long diagonal. Imp in a thought. We have game submissions for subscribers to the stream. So you have to be a subscriber to submit a game today. You're welcome to hang out and if you're not a subscriber to our stream, you're welcome to hang out and get involved in the analysis of games. But for now, subscriptions are required for submitting games. Bishop g2 is good. Anyway, knight f6, black didn't take. He's playing more solidly. Knight f6, and now you played an unusual move. Bishop g5. You played g3 with the intention of a kingside fianchetto. Black played now knight f6, and 99% of people would have played bishop g2, or maybe if you're really scared of losing a pawn, you could play another move like queen c2, not gambiting this pawn any longer. Perhaps the slightly passive knight on bd2 or something like that. But WJ Liff went off on another tangent with bishop g5. Now, as you can see, there's like virtually no games here. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You get one, I believe so. You still get one Twitch stream submission or subscription. Yeah, Gina Rook. You should be able to, if you click on subscribe and scroll down, there should be an option to subscribe with Amazon Prime if you haven't already used it, your monthly Amazon Prime subscription for something else. And it's the same, exactly. They try to make it like hard to see a little bit, but it's in there. If you click the subscribe button, you'll find it after a little searching. But this is an unusual move. See, the problem when you go fianchetto, you don't have this bishop h4, bishop g3 retreat in the event of h6. You run out of ground, basically. So it's not a good idea to play like h6, bishop h4, g5, and lose a piece. I've seen some freak positions where you can sacrifice a piece there, but basically when you play bishop g5, you're not going to be able to come back. So bishop g5 is either a bluff, or you're going to give up your bishop on f6, which in the vacuum, you know, of chess is always a slight concession. Having said that, like sometimes in the Catalan, this isn't such a bad exchange. It's definitely not a typical idea here. So instead of bishop g5, you just continue with your normal program, bishop g2. If takes, you just castle. And now I think you have a reasonable gambit position. You could try to break up his queen side. a4, bishop e7, knight e5. I mean, this is a normal gambit line. I don't know if black plays knight d5 or what. But it's probably a reasonable variation for white. I don't really know the theory, although I sometimes play this stuff just for fun. Bishop g5 is not a normal move. So he doesn't play h6, as Rainer Buhmann did, German grandmaster. So if he had fianchetto systems, it's not a good idea to put the bishop on g5. Yeah, I mean, after h6, the truth is, like, okay, you can still play bishop f4 or something. You don't have to do it, but it's basically a bluff. You can't maintain the pin. That's the main point. It's not as useful in most positions. You can't to maintain the pin in this position. So this guy against Buhmann like played bishop takes f6, but I mean he's giving up his bishop for not a lot. It is your bad bishop technically because the central pawn is on the dark square, and your other bishop is a good bishop. Technically, the dark square bishop is your worst bishop. You have two good knights in the closed position and a good bishop. He has a bad bishop on c8. But I think any exchange of pieces may help black in a slightly cramped position. Probably it's a mistake. Alright, bishop g5. He just played bishop e7. Now knight c3. Another unusual move in the Catalan. Basically, you're playing like it's a queen's gambit, but you play g3. Yeah, the retreat's bishop f4. The retreat to bishop f4 is okay. Bishop e3 is kind of a bad square. I call it the amputated octopus. This is amputee octopus where it's like blocked by its own pawns in a lot of directions. Two of its octopus legs are like cut off essentially. That's not optimal. Here, you know, it's got a little more mobility. You induced a weakness with h6, but it's a very minor weakness for black. It's interesting. I could debate this all day. But knight c3 also kind of a Catalan no-no. There's a couple of reasons for this. Animal openings are typically bad. That's interesting. That's interesting. We'll have to come up with some... The orangutan is bad. What else? I can't think of animal openings like off the top of my head. They're just not popping up. I don't play a lot of animal openings. They should have more animal opening names like the cow, the horse, you know, basic farmyard animals. The hippo's not great, but it's still pretty durable, hard to destroy. Generally, the hedgehog is actually pretty good though, so it's not completely true. This is a better square typically. Okay, why is that? The rat is bad. Knight c3, what's the deal? It doesn't have anywhere to go. And this is like in the Stonewall Dutch, too. It's hard for this knight to maneuver anywhere good from c3. The other problem is that it blocks your play here. Sometimes the c-file... For example, if you play this and he takes this, now your knight's in the way of like trying to attack it with queen c2 or rook c1, or even knight on bd2. So this piece deployment that you have going on here with knight c3 and bishop g5, it's not like a tragedy, but it's not ideal. You're playing like it's a queen's gambit. You should have e3 here, not g3, with the rest of your pieces lined up like this. Now knight on bd7, bishop g2. There's even a grandmaster game here, ironically. So your moves aren't that bad, just slightly unorthodox. Castles, and now b3. Concerned about your pawn, you played b3. A little worrisome on this diagonal. Does black have bishop b4? Could he play bishop b4, pinning you with the intention of adding to the pressure? He does, and we're going to find out. So now WJ Loof realized there's a problem, Houston, and queen a5 is coming, so he played bishop d2, and that's a shame. I mean, I think you should have just kept gambiting that pawn. Krasenkov, who's a strong player, played castles. Wow, and we actually transposed to some sort of minor theory here. Li Chao, 2 games against Leko and Sargsyan. There's another game. Like 5 or 6 Grandmaster games this should actually happen. Only one of them took, which looks kind of critical to me, honestly. Objectively, black should try to take this pawn at some point. Never play bishop g5 when there's no pin. Or you can't maintain the pin in this case. It's not that bad, though, you know? So I think you make another mistake with b3. A lot of minor mistakes, but I'm not familiar with the Catalan setup. So bishop b4 was a good heads-up move by black. Bishop d2, now you're forced to retreat. And I don't know, you know, I mean, he could try queen a5, but I suppose you could just play queen c2 and everything's okay. So I'm not exactly sure what black should do. I think the engine wants to play this. That's kind of a Magnus Carlsen-y move. Stopping a3. If you can stop a3, you can keep your bishop lodged in there forever. And your bishop is on the wrong square here. It should probably be on b2 with a fianchetto. Alright, anyway, he gives up his bishop for not a lot. Bishop takes c3. Bishop takes c3. And now, to make matters worse, he gives up his strong point on d5. Like, whoa. I had a game with one of the players in the simul, like, where he did something Thai move. Thai move likes to play for this idea of playing d takes c4 followed by c5, and then playing against these hanging, so-called hanging pawns for white. But black, this is not a typical position for black now. I mean, check it out. He gave up his good bishop, the guardian of the dark squares. By the way, like his first bad move, really, in this whole game. Bishop takes c3 with no provocation. And now he gives up his strong point on d5. Two major mistakes back to back. B takes c. And now knight e4. That's a little bit of a problem. If you were castled, it would be like almost a winning position for white, strategically. What's up, Turkey Farm? So if only we could play bishop b2 and just keep that bishop. You have bishop b4, but black has c5 now. And that's not what happened, but probably what should have happened. It looks like you might have to bite the bullet and just let him have a little bit back. So give him his bishop back. Like queen c2, knight takes c3, queen c3 with a pretty big advantage for white. This isn't really good. He's got no development, you know, and if you were able to consolidate your space advantage and implant a knight on d6, it would be basically game over. A little more advantage and black's going to be completely dead soon. But after bishop b4, he misses c5, which would keep him alive pretty much. I don't know what to suggest. You would have to take. He would take, and it damages your structure. Now black seems like he's more or less okay. But he plays this, and now all you had to do was castle, and you're out of it. Probably he still has c5 with only like a slight disadvantage. I don't know what else to suggest. You might have even better moves. What to suggest? Is your move so bad, though? Okay, it is bad, because he damages your pawn structure in knight e5. So you need to find a good move here. Queen c2 attacking his knight, maybe, is reasonable, I would think. Black could still play c5. It's not that clear. Though even this position is probably significantly better for white. If I could just castle and play like bishop back to e1 or something, we would be huge. Kakatiri, welcome. Thanks everybody for tuning in for my stream. International Master William Pascal, we are doing game analysis for the subscribers. Everyone's welcome to take part and analyze with us. Don't have to be a subscriber. So c5, queen e4, this is not the game. Rook e8, you played knight e5, he takes. D e5. And now he has to find some difficult move, according to the analysis. Queen b6. Attacking this, that's a tricky move to find. It's a double threat. Not that hard, but you have to be concentrated. Your opponent just mechanically traded queens on d1. And all of a sudden, he's in some trouble. So now it looks like maybe c5? c5 is not going to save him. His knight is almost trapped. You're threatening f3, winning the knight. It's a little more complicated than that. Because he has c5, and then if your bishop moves, he can go here, and then out with a4 and b6. So it's a game about trapping this knight. He just like moved his knight to g5. It has no squares. It has no h6 sometimes, h7. I mean, it goes to... Black plays h6 and a knight like hides on h7 in a Nimzo. Man, you were lucky here. You missed a lot of opportunities and now just flat out blundered. So what about c5? Oh man, c5 is rude, right? You've got bishop a5. That's so sick. And this will kill him. After bishop a5, b6 doesn't work because you're losing a knight with tempo. That's just rude. So c5 was his only other saving move. He has to play f5 so that his knight will be able to go to g5 and f7. I think that you're strategically winning here, though. Your space, your two bishops, control the open file. I don't know if we have any more time for more games. I think we have last game. Maybe Turkey Farm you can squeeze in with the last game. Game 10. Turkey Farm. Turkey Farm. Alright. So that's the last one. Should I put Turkey Farm down? He has a subscriber, Imp, in a thought. That's the point. Alright. Turkey Farm is in. F5. And this loses a piece. And you just missed it. Oh. I think that WJ Loof is just not used to this type of position. I'm so used to trapping knights on G5. Like, I've been doing it all my life. You should see it, even if you're not familiar. It's a forcing move. And you're pretty good tactically, WJ Loof. But like you said, you haven't played in a while. If you're not playing in a while, your tactics are they're gonna get bad quick. Another funny move you could play, like Bishop E7. I like this aesthetically, but it's not really a good move. Just it's funny that you could play it. Black could play H6, and he's okay after that. I just wanted to point out the cute move with the back rank mate. H4 wins. So castles, letting him out, and now it's a strategic battle. Yeah, I mean, his knight is dead, his bishop is dead, his rooks are pretty dead. I'm thinking even push c5, but you might have trouble opening the game later. So I think what you want to do is put pressure on him on the b file, and keep the king side as an option to open that later. You may need to actually principle of two weaknesses here. So if it's possible, I would hold off on c5. It's a good move, it's safe, but you might want to remain flexible. I think rook b1, probably try to pile up, tie him down, maybe a4 if necessary, but not necessarily c5. I would wait, improve my position on all flanks before we go in for some kind of final assault. You might be able to sacrifice on b7 with the rooks. You might be able to bring your king clear up to c5. Imagine the possibilities. If white plunks his king on c5, doubles rooks on the b file, maybe we could sack an exchange or sacrifice a piece to break through at some point. If that doesn't work, we can use the kingside majority. I think this is the other option. Eventually, like f4, f5, pushing through, trying to break through on the king side. There are many ways to try and win. You're probably going to need more than one break. If there were just one weak point, black could hold on. I think a5 was probably a mistake. But there's a small chance the position gets so blocked we can't break through. But I mean, for example, c5 takes away our ability to put our king on c5. It also blocks our bishop in, so it can't retreat out. It's rather committal. h4 is a little committal. You have so much space here that you're probably winning anyway. Oof. And then you just got a direct kingside kill. You can actually play rook f7 now. You could just do it directly. That's just wicked. Totally winning. Rook f7, king f7, bishop g6 check, king here, and then just take. You're not going anywhere. It's terrible. Black's totally lost. So it was just too much space, basically. The space was out of control. Space victim. And you just won straight away. And then h6 is crushing mating attack. Very nice. Very, very nice. And mate on g7. Mate! It's not mate in 1, though. He can play, like, knight e7, right? Theoretically. He can hang on for quite a while. Knight e7, bishop e7, rook e7. He's got a lot of defenses here. Rook, he could have dragged us out with like at least 4 moves. Anyway, good game. Thank you. WJ Loof, not so bad for somebody who's rusty. Alright, we've got 2 games down, 8 more to go. Not that I don't enjoy every minute of it. Where's Mr. Slow? Somebody tell me when Mr. Slow gets in. I feel like I didn't write someone down. WJ Loof is crossed out. Can't even read my own writing. Oh, B-Jack. Alright, B-Jack is out. So, 2 down, many to go. Next game. Maybe Mr. Slow's not here. We'll wait a little longer for him. I'm going to do Yabatis' game. I promised him I would do it pretty early. Is Mr. Slow here? I didn't see him in the chat. Oh, he's here. Alright. You ready to do your game? If you want to delay it for any reason, let me know. I'll go on to someone else. But I had you at the top of the list. But I was kind of waiting to see that you arrived. That'll be the next game. If you are prepared to go on. 100K badge for Mr. Slowhand. Is that new? Alright. Mr. Slowhand, ready to go. Where is your game? Inbox. The inbox. Alright, so this is... Where is it? He was the first one to submit a game. I was holding off those other games, waiting for his arrival. A cube miniature for Thursday's subscriber stream. I quite like the sacrifice of Queen. For a second, I thought it said Pigzilla. Mr. Slowhand donated 500 for a shorty. Thank you, Mr. Slow. Mr. Slow and WJ Loof, both of you guys have been super supportive of the stream. I was getting nervous because we had no donations and it was Thursday. Afraid we have to pack it in soon. The Wednesday streams have been very, very unattended. Even though I'm going over good stuff, the morning streams are kind of tricky. Hopefully the Thursday nights and Sunday nights are the best. We've got E4 C5, Mr. Slow is white. He's playing against Ezio Paglia. I thought it said Pigzilla. There was this account. I think Rafael Latau from Brazil was Pigzilla on ICC. I thought he was making fun of some Brazilian master named Paglilla, calling himself Pigzilla. Quit your job. I would love to quit my job. I know, Bob, you're not talking to me, but I'd love to quit my job and just stream all the time. Unfortunately, this is only a hobby. E4, C5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. So Mr. Slowhand, the man of many openings. Yeah, we need more nurses. Yeah, chess is like that. Bishop b5. The doctors don't even know how to like operate the respiratory, machines. Bishop b5. Mr. Slowhand also plays the c3 Sicilian. Now he's playing the Rosslimo with white. Actually, you were playing the Rosslimo with black, well, the last week. We saw Rosslimo with black, with d6. Here black plays knight f6. This is kind of a mystery move for me. I always thought, like, traditionally this was considered to be a mistake. But Anand and some quite good players playing the system with black. Is there some way white... I don't know the Rosslimo that well. Is there some way white cannot play knight c3 here? Well, obviously you can play bishop takes c6. That's committal and interesting. Yeah, there's also e5. Queen e2 I'm wondering about. I wonder if there's some problem with putting the queen on e2 so early. But knight c3 commits to a variation that's considered more or less okay for black. But I guess there's nothing better. I mean, knight c3 is kind of the main move. Alright, so here we go. Now black played the dreaded a6. a6? Wow. That just doesn't look right. I'm actually not a chess streamer, I'm a chess coach. So I teach people chess privately, for the most part. Streaming is just a hobby we're doing a couple times, you know, a week. I'm just a hobbyist streamer. A6. It looks completely wrong, you know. I mean, to waste time with a6 and weaken your structure. I'm shocked that you look at the list. Well, actually, there's nobody there. Yeah, I don't know who these people are. There's some kind of guy I've never heard of, Cornel Mate. But Kojal played this with black 2 years ago. I mean, that's kind of weird, honestly. Kojal played it with black and won against another strong Croatian player. I mean, I don't know. This doesn't look right. I would give a6 like a dubious takes, and now b takes. So d takes is the idea. Kojal ain't playing b takes c here. In this type of position, black's king's in the center. He's got no development, and a6 is a very costly loss of time. You can be sure the idea is to take with a d-pawn and pray you can get your bishop outside the structure. Kojal beat Jovanovic, but I mean, objectively, like, this position, like, black should never, ever win a single game. His only hope is to, like, equalize, maybe, if he's lucky. The top 3 games there, white didn't win a single one, but that's very strange. They must be psyched out or something. I mean, this is just a very safe position for white. And I think a6 is an unnecessary weakening of the queen side. So bishop takes c6. Black should play d takes. He plays b takes. And now e5. Does anybody want to point out the most important thing about this position? You're all going to say, like, the doubled pawns, right? Doubled pawns are important, but the main thing is the imbalance. Yeah, Bob fell for the typical. See, Bob, that's because you're not thinking deeply. You're too busy trolling and saying, you know, stuff to distract from real chess. The real thing is the white square bishop exchange, and the fact that black has a white square bishop, white doesn't. If that bishop doesn't emerge from its hibernation, black is going to be worse, and the pawn structure is going to play a role too. But this is the key question. I mean, is this going to be a bad piece, or is it going to come out and be a dominant white squared bishop, that white doesn't have a white squared bishop, so it's like very strong. So Mr. Slow plays e5. This would be uber strong if black has played e6. But there's still a chance this bishop can emerge. And there it is. The pivotal moment. I mean, one thing about e5 is it stops e5 by black. That's never happening. Though we don't need to play it right away. If you castle, let's say, and black plays like d6, maybe you can play e5 there. I mean, I lost to Schieberspieler a very bad game where I messed up the move order the other day with black in a similar position. I remember like playing a blitz game with Andy Sadie in Las Vegas 20 years ago, and he played this kind of thing with reverse colors. And I'm just sitting there like, I can't take, and like shred my pawn structure, so I have to play knight d5. But how's black going to get his pieces out here? Something like h3. If you play this, your bishop is stuck forever and ever and ever for the rest of your life. So what are you going to do? So Mr. Slow plays e5, knight d5. The computer says knight e4. Alright, maybe there's something here. But I still think his move is okay. Castles, d6. So now h3. That's my suggestion. I don't know. Can we play h3 and prevent bishop g4 from entering the equation? That would be my suggestion. And then we just pile up on e5. Black can try g6, I guess. So maybe it's not that bad. He plays g6, rook e1, bishop g7, and black can just kind of... No, because now it's pawn takes pawn. Now his pawn structure is screwed. Yeah, queen takes d6. And the ugly. He gets the ugly structure when white is better. Yep. You know, so h3 I think looks interesting. Let's see what the oracle says. Wow, it just has another approach altogether. Computer just wants to open up the position. It's kind of counterintuitive. That's what makes chess hard, by the way. The suggestion of d4, it's what makes chess a difficult game. Counterintuitive. Black has the bishop pair, and one rule says that you're supposed to open the game when you have the bishop pair. On the other hand, white's supposed to open the game when he's better developed. You know, so technically, like, both sides have these rules that are telling them to open the position. The one overrides the other here. Problem is, all of black's pieces are on the back rank. Right, when I've played this with black, the idea is usually bishop a6 and c4 and d3, yeah, and black's bishop is dead. He doesn't even have bishop a6 because of the wonderful move a6, which makes it worse. Anyway, I like h3. Let's see what the oracle says. Yeah, it's finding... Yeah, it's playing e6. Ugh. Bishop f5, finally. White is definitely better here. Alright, h3 is good. d4 is good. Rook e1 is good. But he could play this. No, you've just got pawn takes d6. Yeah, actually, this is strong, Mr. Slow. I didn't realize you're just threatening to play pawn takes pawn. So I lost to Miles like this. It was horrible. In a banter game. I think it must have been something similar. Like, I wouldn't want to play the structure normally, but he must have like forced me to do it. And it's over after e6. Black is like strategically lost here. He's strategically lost. I mean, you got to try bishop g4, right? At least try bishop g4. Pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn. And black has ugly pawns. But he can try to survive, right? Yeah, it's the best try. I mean, it's the only try. You have to get your bishop outside the pawn structure. This is over. After e6. The prison bishop. Black is like down a piece strategically. Knight e4, d5, knight e5, nim's a bitch. This may have been a tactical mistake. But why? I mean, clearly f6, queen h5 check looks promising. Can we do that? Queen h5 check, g6, knight takes g6, pawn takes g5? No. Wait, f6, queen h5 check, g6, knight g6, pawn g6, queen h8, pawn g5. Uh-oh. So we give up 2 knights to win a rook? Is that variation perhaps okay for black? Is this the problem? Like here? Maybe this isn't that clear. Black's completely okay here. It's too much to give him. No, it's a miracle that black's alright here. This is the worst line. You'd be making a big mistake, Prem K666. You have a winning position here. And you're going from a winning position to an equal position if you go into that line. The most important thing is that you keep black tied up. It's not about tactics or the fact the king is in the center. This is a winning strategic position for white. It's not about king safety. It's not about tactics. You have a winning strategic position. All you have to do is not spoil it and keep that bishop, the bishop dead. So, knight e5, I mean, even this might be too fancy, like knight e4, I don't know. I think you could play something simple like d3, developing a piece. I don't care about this exchange here. This doesn't really change anything. Unless black can do like a double pawn sack. He can play like c4 and then c5 and try to get the bishop to long diagonal. Don't get philosophical here, Kakatiri. A winning strategic position means that like the other side is positionally crushed and they should lose like 99% of the time because their position has some kind of catastrophic issue with it, you know? It means that you're going to lose like 99% of the time because you can't even freaking develop your pieces. That's the main thing. Black should not even be able to get his pieces out. Most importantly, the bishop on c8. This is deeper than tactics or attacking the king, anything like that. That's the way you beat a computer in like the 90s. It doesn't know it's lost until move 78 when it resigns because it can't move a bishop on c8. Yeah, rook b1 or something, just killing his development. It's like Zugzwang, man. A winning positional advantage is Zugzwang, where any move the opponent makes is like losing Kakatiri. It doesn't matter what he does. He's going to lose. It's imminent like defeat no matter what. There's no chance of it going wrong. Basically slightly better than a tactical chance or something. It's like middle game Zugzwang, what we're talking about here. So maybe Mr. So got a little cocky with knight e4. I don't know. This is a problem, though. If he gets in f6 and e5, hello, the white square bishop is in the game. It looked great, but I mean, maybe we should really keep more control in development. If this, then he takes, we're taking. And now it's much more clear, right? F6, Queen H5 check. No problem. There's nothing to look at there. So, 94, where are we? 94, DE5, 95, Queen C7. I mean, Mr. Sohan got fancy, basically. He got fancy. He started playing for an attack, but he should have just, like, put his opponent in zugzwang instead, essentially. Knight C4. I'm still worried about F6. My fear is that black eventually will play E5 and be able to get his bishop out and not be strategically busted completely. I doubt it's good enough for black, though. I had a game against a cheater. Well, they played a similar line against me a couple weeks ago. Basically, this kind of thing. Like it was like playing Nimzovich himself. It was B3, bishop A3, and my C pawn just fell. After I looked at the game, I realized I was playing a computer. Every single move that he played was Stockfish #1 suggestion. But that's the other thing Mr. Slow could do here. Just build up on the C5 pawn. So D3 is not the only idea. We could play it like a B3 Sicilian with B3, bishop E2, or maybe that diagonal, or more importantly, this one. It's a Nimzo Indian, you know, basically. All right, so knight takes C5, queen C7, defending the C6 pawn. Maybe A5 and bishop A6, you know, could be a try there, some position like this, but you're still making more weaknesses. I imagine this is just, even just these pawns is probably enough to lose the game. In a standard Nimzo, you know, I'm just going to play like B3, D3. If you do bishop A6, and even if you can exchange it off, you still have horrible double isolated pawns on C6 and C5. That alone may be enough to take black down. We really don't even need to have you be down a piece strategically. Like this kind of thing, we're playing bishop A3 and picking off the pawn on C5 is enough to win the game. But yes, A5 bishop A6 is probably one of the only chances for black to survive. F6 got crazy. Mr. Slow got carried away. And then check, and black has to play G6. Exactly. I mean, that's Miss Derndatch, of course. Like, this is Nimzovichian strategy 101. It's a Nimzo. You're doubling the pawns, and you're going to fix them, immobilize them, and then attack them. You should read, you know, like, Prem 666 should read My System, or Chess Praxis, or something. It's like really fundamental strategic stuff. But it's not necessary to play for an attack here. Mr. Slow just kind of got excited and he missed something here. So black was still alive in this variation. King D8 is just a blunder. So check. And we're winning material. Check, King D7. And this move I did not see. I figure you're taking the rook here, which should be good enough to win. But instead he has knight e6, which is even worse. Much worse. Because now he's taking the rook for free without giving up a piece. Queen f4. Queen f4, not a good move. Okay, so that was crushing. But it's instructive the way he got carried away, you know, rather than just focusing on the strategic plan. Easy enough to do. Easy enough to do. A lot of people looked at the position, they thought it's over. Oh, I like white's attacking chances. So did Mr. Slowhand. But if he was playing a Grandmaster, you can rest assured they would have played G6. If he was playing even an IM or a FIDE Master, they would have found G6. It would have been a real, very, very complicated game rather than an easy win. This is the key. Knight takes G6. takes. This is not killing. Right? Queen g6 check. There's a mate here, by the way. Well, anyway, it's not a mate, but it's an attack. King e7. This is interesting. Not king d8, allowing knight f7 check. King e7. It's possible that's what Mr. Slowhand missed, by the way. He said look for the queen sack after g6. Oh, wow. There's a queen sacrifice? That's what you wanted to point out. Knight takes g6. Holy. Wait, what queen sacrifice? You have a queen sacrifice? Knight e6 or something? What queen sacrifice? Oh, 14 g6? What? After king d7? Oh, here? Like g6? I'm going to turn off the engine. I don't want to see it. I mean, I assume, like, you're just winning material. Knight c7, g takes h6, knight takes d5, pawn d5, knight h8. And you're up a piece, right? So I didn't bother to see there was, like, a brilliant queen sacrifice. I would have played, like, some kind of routine move. Take, take, take. Take, take. And I'm up a rook. You know, it's boring, but it works. Apparently there's something better. Oh, this is insane. Queen h7 with his mate. That's a neat mate. Wow. Beautiful mate. Queen h7, rook h7, and knight f8. And the two knights just control all these squares. That is cool. Alright, Mr. Slow. That was entertaining and brief, but instructive. Don't play a6 in the Roslimo. Unless you're Zdenko Kozul, and I guess you have your opponent psyched out after beating him since he was 5 years old or something. I don't know. Alright. Next in line, Ibadas. Guys, next week I would ask you to submit games into our study for game submissions. Mr. Slow is not Mr. Slow. Mr. Coffee, the other Mr. Mr. Coffee and Ibadas are going to set up a Thursday command so we can just submit games. It's going to take a little while to get used to it, but rather than submitting games directly to me, you can submit games using the Thursday command. We'll do it that way, and then you can submit the games to Ubades rather than me, and he'll put them into a study for next week. Alright. Speaking of Ubades, Ubades is submitting a game for this week. Submission for the stream Thursday. For once, an actually serious game. By the way, it's April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day doesn't seem as funny this year because of COVID. But anyway, it is April Fool's Day. I was going to do bullet chess and puzzles. All these people are streaming bullet chess and puzzles and everybody likes it. It's so absolutely inane and boring. Alright, submission for the stream Thursday. For once, an actual serious game. Also, this got me up to the new peak of 2171. Mr. Yabades, the Astrobate Memorial. Don't say that. Don't say the Astrobate Memorial. Astrobate, when are you getting your? When are you getting your? Don't even start, man. You better get your vaccination. They won't let you play in the National Chess Open. Just making stuff up. WJ Lou, thank you. 500 bits for the Easter holiday. I've forgotten all my Sunday school Easter knowledge. Submission for Stream Thursday. So you bought us get up to 2175. 2175. For April Fools. Sorry, it's holiday here. You know, it's Easter, Passover, or whatever it is. Good Friday is tomorrow. I don't know anymore. I forgot everything from Sunday school. I told my son this morning that I was happy I didn't go to Catholic Sunday school, so I only had to go to Sunday school for an hour every Sunday for 7 years or something. My friends who were Catholics were tortured in Catholic whatever it is. So it's not bad. Not too bad here. But it is April Fool's. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a holiday with the COVID. Joking and April Fool's jokes don't seem as fun this year. But thank you for the sentiment, WJ Loof. I live in Hungary. It's a Catholic country, basically, and it's a big deal. Like the Easter here is a big deal. Where maybe not as much in some places, but Rapid Chess, Matuko versus Yabades. Okay, so this game is Yabades getting up to 2171. He's now 2175, so don't jinx him, anybody. Yabades says the Easter Panda. I should have put an Easter Bunny instead. Maybe for tomorrow's stream. I really should do it for Sunday. Technically. You know, my name, Pascal, actually means Easter in Latin. And my old friend, I hope he's still around somewhere, National Master Adrian Casillas, the last I heard he was in London, he used to call me the Easter Bunny because I have a name that's descended from the Latin for Easter. Anyway, fun. No, that's Pascal. But Pascal was a French. The name before it was a mathematician is descended from the Latin, and the word means Easter. But he shares a similar surname. The French mathematician Blaise Pascal. All right. Anyway, we're going back a little further than Blaise to the early Latin. All right. We're going to do, what do we got? Yabades playing the game to get up to 2175. He's black here. It's always fun to look at Yabades' opening. I like his knight c6. Technically a programming language. Knight f3, g6, d4, bishop g7, and now the dreaded c4 turning into a King's Indian. Our friend Schieberspieler likes to play the insipid c3. Just no fun, that c3. Solid, very durable for white. C4 leaves this a little more sensitive. So we're going to see something not that different from the first game, where Bijak was playing the white pieces. Black's focus is to try to put pressure on d4. d6. This is still part of the strategy normally for black. So Yabades has his own ideas. I would play bishop g4 here. Bishop e3, e5, d5, knight d4, and you have a good game. This is actually a good variation, Yabades. This is technically fine for black. I know you normally don't play this way, but I think you should make an exception in this particular position. I know you prefer to play e5. This is clearly a good move now because of white's move order. He has to be careful not to be worse. I think it's no question that you equalized. Computer doesn't agree. It likes bishop e2. What? What? Oh, knight e2. Whoa. Whoa. Mother of theoretical novelties. It's been played. Wow, the same guy again. Jovanovic is everywhere. He just lost to Kojal in the last game. Now he's like winning with black. That's pretty good. Wow, I can't believe that's a good move for white. That's unbelievable. Computer was like plus 0.6. I'm sure that it's not plus 0.6. There's no way. There's just no way. I don't believe it. Like maybe like white has a tiny edge. You can't retreat your knight back to e2 and claim that white has an advantage here. There's just no way. Now let's drop down to 0.4. Wow. What a bizarre move. Now it's down to 0.3. Settling in around 0.3. It's like putting something on a scale. And it's sort of like going back and forth. Finally. I'm surprised white has that much of an advantage at all, honestly. Knight e2. Alright. Really bizarre move. So, I like bishop g4. Alright, e5 right away. He should push. Apparently bishop g5 is a good move too. Because you don't want to play f6 and block your bishop. This is a problem. There's another reason not to play e5, this move. This is not stupid, by the way. That's a recent game there. Daniel Fernandez from Singapore playing bishop f6. Not a stupid idea. Walter Brown would probably play h4 here with white. I had so many games with him in the King's Indian, I almost can predict it. But instead, okay, let's see what happened. So e5, d5. Classic move. Okay, this is known. It could transpose to a mainline King's Indian, but black won't. He won't do that. If bishop e2... My friend Joe had this game once where he played knight f6. His opponent castled and he played h5. We call him the weed master. Anyway, I don't know how much he was smoking when he played this game or prior, but I mean, this is going too far, dude. Honestly, like, you know, h5 so you can play bishop h6 or something. That's a little bit over the top. It is an idea. It is an idea, but he had some bizarre game he played with the guy, you know. He could have just like transposed. He totally could have just transposed to the normal King's Indian. Instead, he plays like h5. We're like, what are you doing, dude? So, bishop e3. That looks like a normal move. And Yabades played f5. Now, white doesn't want to take. I don't think so. I'm not that afraid of f4. The bishop can back off. The other possibility is c5. If you can get in c5, this can be an annoying move. And the most important thing is that you open the position. So for example, f4 takes. I don't know about this, but just hypothetically, I'm saying, you know, maybe this position, for example, is okay. Engine actually likes it better for black. Is c5 a move? One Indian player played this. It's okay. Oh, on f4 you just retreat. Wow. And you could actually sacrifice this pawn. That's crazy. Look at this, b4. Look at this crazy variation. b4 takes, queen a4 check, bishop d7, queen b4. Pawn sacrifice. Now the bishop reappears on this diagonal. Possibly. I'm sorry, Yabatis. I'm just analyzing ideas for white. It's hard for me though. It's honestly hard for me because I'm normally playing more games with white than black. Though I did have a modern defense against Kozak in a similar line in December or October. It was in October when I last played. Anyway, okay, bishop e2 looks like the main move. He played bishop e3, f5, bishop d3. Actually looks reasonable. So I think that black should keep the tension here. Definitely. I don't like taking or pushing. So I would lean toward knight f6. I suppose. And Durnach mentioned knight g5. This is an important idea in every one of these positions. We have to constantly keep our eye out for knight g5. And that's why he played h6. But usually knight f6 is a better move than h6. It's more constructive. Instead he plays h6. h6 is a little slow. b4, and now knight f6. And now queen c2. f4 closing the position. There's a lot of pressure on that diagonal, but he still doesn't have enough pressure to break it down. Does have this. The avalanche of c5 and the crash through on the queen side. He's also not committed to castling king side. It's weird to launch into a pawn storm without but the suggestion of a5 is also pretty heads up. Where's Warnacki? We're missing him. Yeah, this is a pretty good move. The point is now, if white pushes, you can just lock the whole queen side for the rest of his life. And if he takes, it's hard for him to break through. Takes, rook takes, it's harder to play c5 now, although maybe he can do that. Maybe he can do it. You can also do King's Indian plans like this. Sometimes like c5 idea with this. I don't know. Like the c5 thing, like here takes en passant, takes with a knight. This gets really weird, and it looks like black is kind of behind in development, but you're threatening that, get the pawn back. It may not be that clear. Bishop e6 is the problem. Anyways, alright, a5 is a good suggestion. If the best move for white is b5, then you're freaking in the clear. That's a great suggestion. So f4 closing it up. It looks too committal. Bishop d2. Also c1 though. c1 might be better. He'll need this knight to come back to d2 to resurface here. And bishop c1 can line up on a3. And we can just get everything piling down on d6 and the avalanche with c5. B takes c6. Yeah, b takes c6 was possible too. In that other line. Here. But I'm worried about this pawn break in that type of structure. This is still black, still screwed here because of bishop e6. We can't do that really. That was too fancy. Black probably just has to take this. I was honestly thinking about this, but it looks like it's probably too fancy. Wow. White needs to castle or a4. This is a good plan. A4, knight d2, knight b3, or playing for knight c4. It's like a normal King's Indian idea. But a5 was a good suggestion. So here, anyways, back to the game. f4, bishop d2. This knight has nowhere to go. Castle. I would be thinking twice about castling here with white. And he does. He plays c5. His bishop's on the wrong square. c5, g5, cd6 doesn't seem necessary. He plays cd6. The cdc. But why? Why do we have to break the tension? Unless you got something clear. He goes for knight b5 right away. Maybe he's right. Let's see. I wouldn't play this unless I'm really sure. Knight b5 is important, of course. And rook c1 is important to stack up pressure here. So black plays knight e8, I would expect. Wow. Bishop g4, as usual, is a bad move. I guess this, right? Well, we could hold off a minute and play g4 right away. What about that, ladies and gentlemen? Unfortunately, white has knight h4. And he can always protect it with g3, and he's not castle kingside. So I'm not down with that. Knight e8, rook c1. What about this variation? Knight e8, rook c1, and g4. And knight h4, and knight takes d5. Now knight a7. It's very complicated, actually. This is a typical King's Indian move, like knight a7. It's not working, though. You've got it covered. It will work if knight d5, though. It's like g4, knight h4. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Like, take, 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 take. Totally. Chaos village. Nobody knows what's happening here, honestly. It's totally irrational. I'm just looking at some possible lines. So I just didn't like Yabatis' bishop g4. Does anybody want to raise their hand? Bishop g4 to play bishop h5. Like the classic. Yabatis is not a classically trained King's Indian player. It gets in the way of your g-pawn. This is an extremely unusual move. Like bishop g5 was unusual on the white side of the Catalan for W.J. Loof. We never put the bishop on g4 typically in this type of position. Bishop f3 is not an idea, but he clarifies his thinking. He's not about taking this, obviously. It's just a place to put the bishop. In America, when my mom got sick, they have this place called a place for mom. This is like a place for mom. It's just a place to put it where it's not getting in the way. It's not a good place necessarily. It's expensive, and it's just a place where you put things that you don't need to use right now. Yeah. Knight g6 suggestion allows penetration with knight c7. So he's got an idea here. This, unfortunately, walks into knight d6. And we're screwed there as well. So, Yabatis, first we check the natural move, right? Knight here. Then rook c1, which wouldn't have been possible if our bishop was on c1, by the way. We're threatening to penetrate with knight c7. Now if g4, well, we get to the Twilight Zone variation. Here, rook f7. Well, rook f7 is a normal King's Indian move, but I'm not sure, I'm not thrilled with this position. Rook f7 here. Knight takes, queen takes. And I'm not really a happy camper with with black here. The last thing you want in a classical King's Indian is like your queen side is caving in, you have no control over the c-file, and you have no attack. And the guy's king is still not even remotely under attack. And now he's forcing a trade of queens. We're completely screwed. It's a really bad situation where black is just barely holding on, maybe with passive defense. So that is a problem. I was thinking g4. Wait a sec. Wait. Okay, rook c1. Wait a minute. Okay, so we do have this now. We have this now. Normal move. Wait. Here. Why don't we just play the normal move? He can't play knight c7 because of rook c8, and we pin him. No, this is fine. This is fine. And now we're threatening, you know, g4 type ideas. It's a game. What's evaluation? h3. And black is better. Wow. So, I wonder if CD is even a good move for white. See, the engine doesn't like it. Look how that backfires. I mean, you've got the better pawn on c5. When you play the white side of the King's Indian, you definitely don't want to make this exchange. I was very hesitant. You don't want to make the exchange until the time has come, you know, until it's really necessary. On paper, that's a bad exchange, unless you're really breaking through. So that was premature. This is... The computer likes it. Let's let the computer decide. Okay, the computer has some sick tactic with knight f takes d5. Wow. Well, we don't do tactics here. Not computer-like tactics. Ubatis is like an enhanced troll on a roll, where he doesn't really do a lot of tactics, mostly strategic play, but tactics sometimes when it's necessary. So there's crazy ideas with this. You can take, and e4, and then go down for the h8 rook. The engine says, exchange sacrifice? Okay, that's fine with me. Wow. It's unclear. Alright. So Ubatis plays bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, queen a4, a6, knight a3, and that knight's not going to be happy if it can't go to c4. You don't play knight a3 if b5 is going to happen and you're too slow. But the bishop has returned. Returned, and b5 exclamation point. Stopping white on the queen side. Stopping a4 virtually forever. Yeah, this is cool. There is one problem, though. Cracky crab tactic with knight takes e5. There you have the devilish knight h7, though. And now bishop c3. I assume this is good for black somehow. Just take, d6 check, bishop f7, d takes e7, queen e7. Damn, dude, the engine is like +4. +4? +4? +3.6? Something not good about white's position. Slightly ineffective placement of the white pieces. Exposure on the d file. This is the main problem. To stack them up and kill them. The domino d file. So the tactic doesn't work. b5, rook c1. Another bishop move, Ubatis. Really? Actually, did you think this through all the way? I actually expected him to play b5 directly. That's another option. So bishop moves again, taking away the knight's only square on g6. Well, almost only square. He can go here. The Peter Prohashka maneuver. Jonathan Spielman's favorite. Where is Where is number 4? I hate playing knight c8. I'll occasionally do it in the English defense. Rook c8. Now you have some nice tactics. Knight takes d5 looks really juicy. It gets a little weird after like queen b3, bishop f7, pawn takes pawn, the ultimate Benoni. Ugh, this looks horrible for white. This is like the greatest Benoni of all time. But excellent pawn play by Yabatis. I appreciate your pawn play. Rook c8. Most people are poor with the pawns. Trading rooks, I'm not sure. So at the end of the day, like, white is surviving. And now queen d7 and the pawn wedge at f4. Bishop h5. No, not again. You have this tactic again, but it's not as good now. Damn. So we're analyzing this game. Yabatis' highest rating in Rapid reached with this victory, but it looks like he's actually not winning. I mean, doesn't g4 look pretty good? It's just not that clear. Takes. It may not be enough. White's defending. I thought you should play queen d7 right away. Why abandon the file? That's my first suggestion. And then queen c7 is kind of a weird move. Because it doesn't do anything here. It's great, it's nice, it looks pretty. But no, I mean, seriously, maybe this is now really necessary to go for this pawn. Like, you have to do it now. Takes, bishop takes, queen takes, e4, and he's, like, smoked. He's smoked here. Because his king is in big trouble. Queen b3, you just take. And now what does he do? Take back with the pawn. Wonderful. This pawn is gone. I mean, d5 is a goner. You're not going to mate his king, but his pawn on d5 for the minimum, at the minimum, is gone, right? You could just, like, knock it out immediately with queen a8. So you have excellent chances to win here if you pull the trigger on a tactic. But you didn't. You played this, 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 and now, where's the rest of the game? Queen d7, rook e1, bishop h5, bishop e2, okay. Rook c8, good idea. And now he should probably move his bishop, I guess. Bishop d2. If knight e4, there are some tactics with bishop e5, but I still like this for black. There's also knight e5. But let's see. Yeah, this is not so clear. This is not so clear. Exactly, he wasted the tempo. Now g4, it seems kind of random. g4, knight takes g4, and he played what? Wow. Ouch. He just didn't sense the danger. Understandably. It kind of came out of nowhere. He's all of a sudden lost. Because of F2. So it looks like Rook E1 was worse than we thought, actually. Rook E1 in this position might have played a role, protecting F2. So White could have made some kind of defensive move, and why the hell is his knight on A3? I guess I'm getting out of the way of the pawn roller, but we can't because the pawn is triple. No, it's double attack. So you can play like knight H2 or something. I admit it's not great, but he can try. Knight H2, knight D2. I admit, like, White is worse. This is amazing how you snuck up on him, though. Bishop H5 looks like no big deal. Maybe Bishop E2 was a pivotal mistake. So now he should definitely play knight H2. How bad is it? He's still alive. How bad is it? Knight H2 plus 1.6 for black after knight H2, plus 2 for black. F3. I was just wondering. Wow. The student body attack. Look at this. Out of nowhere appears this like kingside attack. No, apparently he's lost here. No, it looks like he's already lost, Jubatis. Even before he blundered with G3. This is lost already for White. It's surprising. Nice, nice. He's probably lost here. You have too much space. Rook C8's not a bad move either. But he definitely should have moved his bishop. Holy crap. You have like knight takes e4, queen takes e4, and his queen is trapped in the middle of the board. Did you think about that at some point? His queen is just trapped in the middle of the board. He can bail out with like knight e5 or something, but it's pretty good for black. There's a nice trap there. Again, he has ways to bail out. He's not losing his queen or something. Rook c8, queen b3, g4, and then all of a sudden White is just lost. Wow. Of course g3 is bad. Bang. With f2, the rook, the only piece that can defend f2. That's really nice. Good game. All right, guys, too long analysis. Sorry. We got a little bit carried away, as I tend to do. Next week, you can submit the games using the Thursday command to Spectacular Cam. I'm sorry, Ayubates. So, we've got more games. Lots more games. 1 hour remaining. I've got Sadamasa Uber, Kakatiri, Acerbate, Princess Chess, and Turkey. We'll get to as many as I can. But that was an interesting game. I get carried away when I play King's Indian positions. And I love to analyze strategic positions. Unfortunately, playing blitz chess, we can't enjoy the game in this way. I miss over-the-board chess. I miss being able to play games where I think for 10 minutes on one move. And I hope that the people here in the stream who are watching appreciate what I'm doing. Sadamasa is the next game. To spend an hour analyzing a game is nothing. To spend 20 minutes analyzing one game is nothing. I would love to analyze the same game for hours. All right. Hold on a second. Next game up. Let's see. This was from Sadamasa. No, usually he's submitting fast games, unfortunately. Just a blitz game. It can take hours to really properly analyze a single game. So, and I want to use the engine, but I don't want to be overly reliant on it. It's limiting. Just to kind of blunder check for tactics. Sadamasa against Jules Dredd. E4, E5. The Vienna. Interesting. So, we're in a twilight zone of openings here. Bishop E7, it's a move. Developing move. I would think you play knight F3 and you go central. Knight F3, knight C6, D4, and play a kind of Hungarian defense. It's not a Hungarian defense because you haven't played bishop C4. I guess it's like a Philidor. Knight F3, you play bishop C4 instead, which will likely transpose to... It is creative for black, but it's not great. It's passive. I would play knight F3. So bishop C4, more keeping with the London. The London. It looks like a London on the other side of the board. Keeping with the Vienna approach. I guess if black plays knight C6... Yeah, this is weird for me. Like, last move you could have played knight F3, and then you go for the center break with D4. Like a good... You've got a good Philidor San Segundo de la Riva here game from 93. When they were juniors. But now you play knight F3, really? That doesn't make sense to me. To play knight F3 at this point. I guess it's still good. If your intention is to play D4, it's still not too late. But this is a natural, like, Vienna style of plan. We're gonna play for F4, dude. Yabatis would prefer F4. Yabatis, you play the Vienna sometimes. It's totally standard pawn break. An enhanced King's Gambit, you might call it. A King's Gambit where you don't have to sacrifice a pawn. Alright, so knight F3. The only problem is it's not clear bishop C4 is the best square in the exchange Philidor. This is not really... It's not really an exchange Philidor because the knight's on C6, but that does happen. But anyway, this position... So the point is this the best square for this bishop necessarily? It's not considered always the best square. Like sometimes E2, even D3 is an idea. Sometimes we can play G3, fianchetto on the king side. It looks nice, but it's also vulnerable to attack on C4. So you have to be very careful. Knight F6, castle, castle. And I don't know what this is classified as. I guess it's classified as an exchange Philidor. But knight C6 isn't always like, and maybe isn't often black's best plan in the exchange Philidor. I don't know. We can judge by the numbers here. Number 1 move, rook E1. Number 2, H3. Also played our bishop F4 and knight takes C6. But this bishop E3 is not on the radar. Wow. I wish it showed I wish you could get a readout of total statistics. That would be a good feature. You got all these statistics, but you got no total. White didn't play bishop E3 in a single game in this position. And I know there has to be a reason for that. That doesn't mean that it's wrong, because sometimes there's surprising moves. You'll see I don't know, Opening Explorer says 185 games, and not one person played a perfectly good move because of some bias in their thinking. The bias in the thinking here is that knight g4 must be good for black, but maybe it's not so big a deal. This is not a developing move. We can just move the bishop again. I'm going to guess that's what we should do. But objectively, I think h3. h3 and then rook e1 to secure the e4 pawn. It's a very tricky position. There's a lot of good players. Mamajarov, Nisipianu are the two guys who I would look to black for these type of positions. So bishop e3, knight g4, and now maybe we have to play like bishop f4 and just say, okay, dude, your knight is on g4. Why is your knight on g4? Aren't you concerned about controlling e4 and d5? What happened to that concept? Black just moved his knight away. It was kind of doing an important job, by the way. You know? Like, these are rather important squares, d5 and e4. Now black plays knight g4. He has nothing controlling those squares at all anymore. That's significant. So we can just move the bishop again and say, hey, dude, you're not controlling d5 at all. You're not attacking my e4 pawn. There's no pressure there. We're fine. Unfortunately, like, a3 is a little slow. And I think this bishop on this diagonal is overrated in these exchange philidors. Okay, but anyway, knight g4, knight takes c6 now. Let me get this straight. If knight e3, knight e7 check, we win a piece. So black has to take. Wait! Alright, now the d5 square is not an issue. That's good for black. I don't like two things about this exchange on c6. We exchange pieces against an opponent who's cramped and has less space. Secondly, now he controls d5 and we have no access to that square. It's very nice that he has doubled pawns, but they're not so easy to exploit. So I think this is already okay for black. Now bishop f4, necessary to move the bishop, probably the best square. Black plays knight e5. The one good thing, Prem 666, about the position now is that white can plant his bishop on b3, I guess. Maybe bishop e3 can block the pressure on the b file. Still, it's possible for black plays c5, c4. That's tricky. Knight e5 right away. I would think that black would play maybe rook b8. Rook b8, bishop b3. And it's a complicated game. White stands slightly better due to central pawn on e4. What's the evaluation from the Oracle? My evaluation is that white stands slightly better. What about you, Oracle? Oracle doesn't agree. The Oracle is Karl Schlechter. It's Steinitz versus Karl Schlechter. They had some similar games. Maybe Schlechter is white. Yeah, it came down with its evaluation of 0.1 on a stone tablet from the sky. I was right. White is slightly better. Bishop f6. Dude, you gotta learn from these old World Championship matches. Schlechter against Steinitz. Schlechter didn't play Steinitz. Schlechter Lasker. I'm talking about Schlechter Steinitz. Crazy. Whatever. I meant Schlechter Lasker. So, apologies. At least I realized I'm an idiot. Really know your chess history. Schlechter Lasker. Where he should have been the world champion, but he blew it at the end. It's so sad. And Schlechter's chess career was like cut short by illness. The guy was like equal to to Lasker, and it's unbelievable. But anyway, I'm getting crazy with the classic masters here. So let's see the game. 95. Oh no. No. Can I have a pain tablet or something? This hurts. You can't do that to me. You can't give away your dark square bishop. You can't do this. How dare you trade your dark square bishop on e-file? Black could freaking take with a pawn and he would be fine here. He's fine. I would rather it be like bishop f6, bishop takes e5, honestly. And that's what Sadamas is thinking. Oh, well, I gave him double isolated pawns. It's not worth it. The only way that white is okay if somehow he gets the white square bishops exchanged and happens to stumble into a good knight versus bad bishop position. Bishop takes e5 is terrible. This is okay. And this has to be carefully judged. But it's probably okay. Just have to watch for c5, c4 type of things. But I mean, basically that bishop isn't really easily trapped. Bishop takes e5 is bad. D takes e5, and black is fine. Queen h5 attacking the pawn. So bishop d6. We should consider bishop f6. That blocks the f pawn. What about bishop c5? Let's open our minds a little bit. Let's expand our minds and use a little bit of creativity. Why do we have to play passively? Can't we sacrifice this pawn? Screw it, you know? There's bishop d4, queen d4. Let's sacrifice the pawn. Give me analysis, Oracle, of the pawn sack. Now it wants to play bishop d6. No, that's not what I wanted. I thought we could try something more active. Forget it. So bishop d6. It seems a strange moment to play rook b8. I just want to trade the queens. Maybe this is alright. Should white play b3 is a big question. Yeah, I mean, once you trade the queens, black is fine. The only chance is if the queens are traded for black to be okay. If you keep the queens on, it could be complicated. But now black's alright. He should be fine here. And I still don't like bishop takes e5. Unthinkable. It's unthinkable to play bishop e6. This was a blitz game, but it's horrible. Black is fine. Even without f5, just play king g7. You can't trade the white square bishop, man. That's your whole problem. This is a problem. You don't want to end up with a good knight against bad bishop. Dude, it's over. It's over. This is over. I give up. I resign. Look at that. The good thing is that black has an extra pawn in this position. Terrible judgment. Losing the game on bishop e6. basically, for black, in a perfectly okay position. He doesn't understand that the bishop pair is everything. Now this is a pawn. F3 was even a bad move. He could have moved his rook and then got his king over to F1. But it's a blitz game. Now his king gets stuck. And only now does Stockfish realize that black is lost. Fritz 5 loses to a human in this position with black. Thinking it was okay, but it's like G3, King G2, King F1, bloop, King C4 resigns. And everything just died. Bishop E5 was a bad move, but Bishop E6 was worse. The whole game, like, was determined by, the result was determined by two strategic mistakes. The bigger one by black. Alright, so Satomasa Uber Driver. We got a game from Uber Driver. Uber good. Uber Driver, what's up? I don't think he's here. He's probably driving. Unfortunately, I'm not a GameStop millionaire yet. I did manage to play a game the other day where I didn't do anything stupid. Hope all is well. Alright. Uber Driver's white in a blitz chess game. He submitted the following. Wow. 0 inaccuracies, 0 mistakes, 0 blunders. 14 CPL. Was this from our tournament? No. 5 plus 3? See, this is not like WJ Loof. He has a way to come back here. Wow, Uber Driver facing Merle Dixon's favorite defense. That's not a good scene. You're calling Uber for a cost average. I mean, seriously. Dude, he's rumored to be Merle Dixon, and now he's facing Merle Dixon's favorite variation. That's not a good sign. Actually, Queen A5 is one of the main moves for black, and it's good. But we've long suspected that Uber Driver and Merle Dixon were the same person. And I joke about that all the time. And this is Merle Dixon's like go-to defense for black. So of course, it's like if you had two personalities and one of your personalities played his favorite defense against you, you would be well prepared to play against, you know, your other personality, right? You've been living with them in your body your whole life. So obviously, Uber Driver knows how to handle the Merle Dixon defense. The guy played what? He played what? Queen B6. Damn. He plays Theory with the Cambridge Springs defense, and then he just plays Queen B6 for no reason. Wow. Maybe he just like uses the opening explorer to get through the first 7 moves and then starts playing on his own or something. That is crazed beyond belief. So Queen B6 just randomly moving the queen again and attacking B2. Queen was on a better square on A5. It's totally normal. Bishop E4, and it's a million games in this position. It's really hard for white to get an advantage. But Queen B6 is terrible. And Uber Driver plays like the fanciest move ever here. I mean, one would just expect Queen C2. It's a totally good move. Developing a piece. Guarding B2. But Uber Driver plays A3, trying to like get the guy to take his pawn so he has a queen trap with knight A4. I mean, it's like he's really trying to trick the guy into dropping his queen. I mean, who even faced Queen B6 to stop and think about that? That's funny. I much prefer Queen C2 because it develops. A3 not as useful. Still not bad. Now Warnaki's A5. Black had the common sense not to fall for Queen takes B2. Bishop D3. Castles, randomly h6, bishop h4, and now the queen moves again. No. Too many queen moves. Rook b1, pursuing a straightforward plan with b4, castles, b4. I mean, black just has a passive position. Now he gives up his center. 3 queen moves. Queen a5, queen b6, queen d8. He stole your thunder. It's easy to get 0 cent pawn loss with this guy. He made 3 queen moves and then gave up his center. It's actually, okay, not that stupid. Take, knight d5, trading pieces. This move is mildly annoying. Bishop e7. Now, wait a second. Can black play knight takes c3? Knight takes c3. Since I don't want to lose a piece, I have to play bishop takes d8, and then knight takes d1. It's better for white. Alright. So, bishop e7, queen e7, and now Uber played knight takes d5. Oh no. No. After knight takes d5, it looks like white has very little. Like a lasting but very small advantage. But maybe he has nothing better. I think that queen b3 deserves consideration. It's like Merle Dixon and Uber are battling it out. Personality against personality. Queen b3. What do you guys think about this? Maybe it's not that bad for black? Queen b3 is the best move. You know what's amazing? That black got to 0.3 better for white. It's almost equal. After wasting 3 tempi. This is so sick, you know? I would want to cry, like I'm not winning against this guy. He played queen a5, queen b6, and queen d8, and he's almost equalized. Yeah, I mean, definitely queen b3. This worsens our position. It reduces our advantage. You think it looks good? You think you need to think in more long-term, positional way from 666. When you take on d5, you're giving black a strong pawn on d5. You don't think enough about the pawn structure. I had a game like very similar this week where I got in b5 and minority attack. Eventually had a very slight advantage with the b7 pawn being weak. Here we have almost nothing. I mean, e5 will allow us to have a minority attack still with b5. So cd, yeah. cd creates symmetrical. Where you need to be like freaking Walter Brown to win this. White has some kind of microscopic advantage. 0.1 advantage to white, and Walter Brown grinds you down in 88 moves and 7 hours in a queen and knight endgame. Probably. But it's such a small advantage. It's almost nothing. But I mean, what can we do? I like this better, queen b3. This is a better structure. Little better chance here. We're holding up e5, and we're going with the b5. Classic minority attack. So, okay, Uber just takes. The guy takes with the e-pawn. This is riskier. And now white plays quietly, but maybe knight a5. Knight a5 would kind of tie him down. And we can protect it with maybe queen d2. Knight d2 looks a little more passive. Stockfish is concluding that knight d2 is better. It's close. Alright. Knight d2, knight f6, b5. There it is. Edmar Madness and Chess Life magazine present a minority attack for white. Now we got the classic. The classic. Actually, not Edmar Madness, but I don't remember who. Somebody wrote an article for Chess Life, a series on positions like this. Such a classic position. Oh, Uber Driver likes Reshevsky, right? So he's down with this. Very positional approach. Lasting edge. Classic torture. We don't want to trade too many pieces, though. Yeah, this is like straight out of Chess Life magazine from the 80s. Knight e8, bishop h7 check. And now this is an interesting move. Bishop f5. Trading what appears to be a better bishop. Why would you put your king on f8? I'm definitely playing king h8. That's why you don't put your king on f8. Damn. Anyway, like black can probably defend with perfect defense. It's a draw. It's a standard classic minority attack position. But he has to defend passively for hours, and he just blundered queen h7. And now there's no hope. That's pretty though. With this knight e6 type of idea lurking, black just resigned. Ouch. I mean, knight d7 is in. That's a nice game, Uber Driver. Classic, well-trained minority attack. A la Reshevsky. Alright. So Kakatiri, Astrobate. Kakatiri, Astrobate, and Princess and Turkey Farm. 4 games left. Gotta do it fast. We have just 30 minutes left. Welcome everybody to my stream. We're going to be back on Friday morning with Blitz challenges tomorrow. Don't forget to tune in. Appreciate the donations. Only WJ Loof. Only WJ Loof. Thank you, WJ Loof. I take it back. WJ Loof and Mr. Slow donated 500 bits. So it's not only WJ Loof. Mr. Slow also 500 bits today. Guys, no gift subs. Hopefully we'll get some gift subs this week. We did have an anonymous gift sub. They don't take residence in the gift sub category at the top of the stream, but appreciate the anonymous gift sub. Alright, Astrobate, yours is quick. You want to do yours first? Been waiting long enough. Technically, you're not the next on the list, though. Kakatiri is next. Let's do his. K is a cursed letter for my keyboard. It's one of the keys that doesn't work. K's not a problem. It's the I that's a problem. Ugh. Whenever I say Kakatiri, I think of Chitiri in Russian language. You know, like Kagdila, Chitiri, all these different Russian words. It's a combination of kakdila and chitiri. Kakchitiri. Kakatiri. Alright. Dude, where's the message? What did I just do? No. May I submit a game for analysis? Absolutely. He used the correct question. May I submit a game? He didn't say, can I submit a game? He said, may I submit this game for analysis? So he's learning grammar and chess here on the stream from my 7th grade English teacher. Rapid chess, Dado Goga versus Kakatiri. Courtesy of whatever her name was. 7th grade English teacher. Alright. Dado Goga versus Kakatiri. We're black. 10-minute chess. Karakan. Knight f3 and the capture. So, technically, Knight c3 is the better option here. But you're playing the Bobby Fischer... White's playing the Bobby Fischer mineral bath attack with c takes d, c takes d. Now you must play knight e5. I think this is the only move that has any kind of... The only move that has any kind of sting at all. And obviously f6. Even Mr. Slowhand would find queen h5 check. Bobby claimed, like, in the moment of euphoria that knight e5 was good for white, and white was better in this position. Supposedly. He was probably just excited. It's probably equal in reality. But that's the only serious try for white. I mean, d4 is just lame. So we have a lot of options. I usually play bishop g4 here. That's the most aggressive. The only thing is, like, you're going to have to give up your bishop. Probably have to take here. Kramnik Anand. But you can trust Anand would never steer you wrong. Unfortunately, it's only a draw for black against Kramnik. It's riskier to go bishop h5. If we're going to go bishop h5, probably we don't bother to do this. Anyway, you can simply play knight f6. There's a lot of good moves. This is okay. The problem is, I mean, white can go back into the... He's going back into the Panov if he's a strong player. Bishop f4 is some kind of London system. This is just the Jabava attack. Not particularly great version of it. I see it all the time. Even with some fairly strong players, it's just lame for white. Actually, I had a game with Jabava. Or Yobava, I should say. Yobava, I don't remember if it was the exact position. We had some game where I managed to beat him because he overpressed in the drawn ending. But I would imagine, like, bishop g4 is solid. Instead, you opted for a g6, which is also... This is also very solid looking. I imagine the g6 is fine. Now, we don't do the... Obviously, we've learned our lesson now. WJ Loof. Bishop g4 in this position is a no-no. We don't want to have any place to go with bishop h5. It may not actually be that bad, though, ironically. I do that in the Black Mardimer when there's no pawn in f2. When I'm up a pawn, I'm willing to, like, trade my bishop for nothing on f3 and just go with it. But no, not here. Bishop g7, h3, stopping the non-threatened bishop g4. Knight c6. a3. So he likes the... He's got a thing for the... What's his name? Michael Basman. Why not just start with a3 and h3? Why wait until move 8 to play it for white here? Keep us in the dark. Okay, at this point I'm like, alright, dude, this is not serious. This is not real. And also, we didn't even commentate on this, right? Bishop e3, the acerbate bishop. So objectively, the guy goes bishop e3. Why not h3 now, and then put your bishop on a better square on f4? That makes a lot more sense. Plus, there are certain positions where white goes, like maybe bishop d3, bishop f5, pawn f5, and g4 is like a wicked attack for white. Well, he'll probably wait until you castle, but if you do this and you castle, you could come under very serious threats on the king's side. There's just a series of mistakes. Like, this is a terrible square. H3, now, okay, it's not great. Knight c6. A3, stopping this, but weakening his queen side. A6 for you is better than A3 is for him. Because he might try to castle queenside, and you might want to use this. So I don't think that A6 is the best move necessarily, but it's not as stupid as A3. And you don't have your knight in front of your c-pawn, blocking your c-pawn from influencing the center. And you may need A6 to support B5, so probably A6 is not bad. I think you have other options here, though. Castles is probably fine. He's played too slow to have a serious attack. That's the default move. Also, knight e4 is interesting. But I'm not sure I want to let him undouble that or get rid of that knight on c3. If bishop d3 now, what do you do? I feel like this almost helps him to play knight takes c3. So we have to play like bishop f5 or something. Black is still slightly better. Point. Wait for it. Wait, come on. What? What? There it is. Point 1 for black. I just blew it over the edge. Like a feather. It's 0.1 advantage for black. It's too slow. The creepy crawly. A6, a little creepy crawly too. And then he walks into knight e4. Please play knight e4. And you play b5. You might want to oblige him here with knight e4. Obviously, it's based on the fact that you're pummeling d4 with 3 pieces. After knight e4, pawn e4, he's got a problem. He's lucky if he's not worse now. Seriously worse. So he would probably have to admit his mistake, and what's he going to do? Where's he going to put his queen? Yeah, this is embarrassing. He has to take and play knight g5 and pray that that's okay. Wow, this is actually okay for white. I have to admit, I completely misevaluated this. I thought we could take, but he's got tricks with castle's queenside. Oh my god, man. Maybe we can sack a piece. Okay, Yubaba would have beaten me. I have to admit, I would have played this confidently, but it's not so clear. Wow. That is flat out shocking. I am very surprised by that. The knight e4 is not good for black. So b5. Yeah, I mean, no, he can't castle now. Not after b5. Castling after b5. Even Yubaba wouldn't do that. You don't castle after the guy plays b5 at this point. You've got an accelerated pawn storm. Yubaba would just do bishop e2 and castle kingside or something. I guarantee it. There's no way he's castling into that. Even he's not crazy enough to do that. b5, castles queenside into the attack, and now you castled. But I mean, I think you ought to not necessarily castle and just initiate immediate action. Queen a5 is an idea. Rook b8 is an idea. Obviously, bishop f5 is an idea, supporting knight e4. So you have a number of very reasonable moves that don't involve castling. I don't think he answered it right, though. You castled and he played bishop h6. I'm sorry, he played h4. That's probably the wrong idea, though. He should play bishop h6. The whole point of b5 was he wasn't going to go long, but he did it anyway. Yeah, you're trying to talk him out of castling queenside, and he did it anyway. But he's a fool, you know. h4, bishop g4. I think you should do this. This is shutting him down. You shut down his counterplay over there. Maybe he'll do h5 anyway. And I don't know, which way you take, but you probably got to take. And I don't know. Maybe bishop takes. It's pretty stubborn. If you really want to be on the safe side, you could try h5. But personally, I wouldn't have castled. You're taking a little bit of a risk there, giving him something. Because if you don't castle, he doesn't have anything. Again, like queen a5, what does the computer say? b4 right away. I didn't even consider it. Because he can't afford this. He can't move his knight, so you just take and station your knight on b4. Wow. That is impressive. Asterbait gifted tier 1 sub to the community. Petrovich39. Petrovich39, thank you for being a subscriber. Asterbait, thank you for making it possible. So yeah, you're just golden here. Rook b8, queen a5. I probably would have found it if I had had time. We're rushing a little bit through these last games. But your castling is a mistake. Clearly, you can leave your king where it is, and you're both playing without a rook. I mean, essentially. It's not like you're playing down a piece. His pieces are also not in the game. His h-rook is not in the game. Your h-rook is not in the game. Cancel them out, and you're attacking him with equal material on that side where he's committed. b4 is very strong. Now, he played h4, you played b4. It's still good. Knight b1. And now you just take. Is there a better move? You could try queen a5 again, or rook b8. Maybe you're a little too direct here. Well, you don't want him to lock the position with a4, though. I agree. Even there, you'll have chances to push b3, so he can't completely lock it. But this might be a mistake. Takes, although this does look really strong. Wow. Maybe he should go to e1 to keep your queen off of a5. And Warnaki again. No, I don't think a5 is appropriate here. This calls for the queen a5. This position is appropriate, queen a5. He never should have let you play that. I mean, queen e1 is clearly a better square. Guys, tomorrow Blitz stream, 11 a.m. Open challenges. Hopefully we'll play better than last Tuesday's tournament. This is a mistake. He's got knight b5 blocking stuff. You're blocking your queen. Not as good. That's strong, though. I forgot you have bishop a6. It's good, but it's still not as good as queen a5. He's forced to go back to the proper square. And now trading pieces. I'd rather not, but... I mean, you can consider this. At the end of the day, you're a little shorter on pieces to attack him with now because of those exchanges. And looks like maybe c3. Is he holding on with c3 here? Do you have some kind of crazy knight b4? This might actually work. Damn, bro. That just wins. The imagination. of knight b4. It's like Pillsbury Steinitz. Don't castle queenside in the wrong position, because you could have bad things happen to you. Oof. Knight b4, c4, a b4, and he's just lost. Here I was thinking, you gotta have something. Gotta have it. Rook c8 with the idea of rook a1 mate. So king b1, and then queen a5, and now queen b4, queen a2 check, king c1 here, and if rook d2, queen a1 mate. Like that kind of stuff. But it's becoming very Sicilian-y. Black's attack was a little faster than white's, so he played b3. That's clearly over. He had to try c3. And the temptation would have been to play this, going for knight a5, but it's a little slow. So this move is actually a nice find that I found on my own. Thanks, Turkey Farm. Literal Sladgie analysis, non-computer enhanced. Knight b4 is just instinct. Sometimes we find the nut, the blind squirrel. But Kakatiri here, let's see what happened. So c3, looks like it's over. a4 takes, and then rook a3. It should be over. b2 check. Oh, b2 check is terminal. He does have b2 check, king c2. Queen b3 check, king d3. But I mean, is there seriously a chance? You could always do this, right? That's embarrassing. Yeah. That's embarrassing. Everything wins. Yeah, this is easy. I was surprised. Yeah, it didn't take that many moves to finish him off. Yeah, what did Kakatiri do? He didn't take his queen or something? So he like checked him and didn't take his queen. Instead he played this. Whoa. He's serious about playing for mate or something. But yeah, I mean, I would just be practical and take the guy's queen. You're up too much material that I wouldn't risk any kind of accidents. That's pretty, though. It wasn't really a risk. It just took a while to finish him off. Alright, good game. Good game overall. Alright, Kakatiri. Asterbait is up next. VIP Asterbait, thanks for the donation. Oh, the gift sub. So we got a gift sub today. Donations from WJ Lou for 1,000. Mr. Slow with 500. I really appreciate it, guys. Tough times during the pandemic here. Maybe Bijak could donate a COVID vaccine. I'll make a trip to Serbia to get vaccinated. It's ridiculous. I might get a vaccination by like August here in Hungary. I should go to Serbia, like play in a chess tournament, so I can get vaccinated for COVID. We've got Asterbait up next. It was made in 7. Wow. Better to analyze your games first without the computer, and then use the computer. Can I switch games? All right. I got a really lucky mate in 8. What? Why is there 2 links here? Because it's the same 8. No, is that the same game? I'm just gonna take the last one. Someone told me they found on a Facebook post there was a game I lost in like 9 moves. Everybody has Every master has had some miniature that they lost some kind of trap. I mean, pretty much. Like, you know, everybody has their story. Once I lost to Boros Danish in like 8 moves in a C3 Sicilian trap. But it turns out like 3 Grandmasters lost in the same position with the same hallucination. It just happens. Maiden 8, Acerbate. E4, E5. Acerbate playing the Vienna game? What? Great Lazarus. Thanks for joining us. How is Acerbate playing the Vienna game? You had 101 cent upon loss, Acerbate. Your opponent had 241. That's a record. Seriously, what's the maximum cent upon loss you can get? You guys are not allowed to leave the stream after your game is analyzed, by the way. People are leaving. It's not polite. No more doing games early. Uber Driver just got here. We were just talking about you and Reshevsky, Uber Driver. I referenced Reshevsky during our game analysis. Were you here for that? You were quiet. So Bishop C5, F4. It's basically King's Gambit declined. I know you're a Reshevsky file, and funny that I mentioned him in context with you due to your minority attack. Very classic understanding of positional chess by the Uber Driver. Merle Dixon had nothing on you. Now Acerbate's opponent played, wait for it, F5. Symmetrical King's Gambit. But that's the kind of move that can can confuse people. With F5. Maybe not that easy for white. Acerbate reacted with knight F3. I need to pause for thought here. But I mean, okay, E takes F5. The one thing is, like, even if you get a check, you can play King F8. So, yeah, I mean, it's not easy to decide what to play here. You're multitasking. I'm drinking and analyzing chess games. So we can call that multitasking as well. Anything can be multitasking, right? Doesn't have to be work. F5, seriously. No, that was Rubinstein's obsession, Uber Driver. But did he actually play it in a serious game? In the Asylum, maybe. I'm not sure he ever actually... It's a good question. Did he ever actually play that in a real important game? Or was that just something that became like his obsession in the sanatorium? Not an asylum, I'm sorry. I will clarify my statement. Rubinstein was not in a mental asylum. He was sort of like a sanitarium. Alright, anyway, it's hard to say what white should play. I guess Acerbate's move, I mean, it's natural, knight F3. What the heck are you supposed to play here? Both moves look logical. I mean, pawn takes E5, also good. Maybe that's better, man. The problem is bishop G1. What are you playing on bishop G1? Rook G1, queen H4 check. G3, queen takes H2. This actually looks terrible for black. This is terrible. Man, I don't know. I'm curious what the engine says for white, because it's not obvious to me. E takes f5 or f takes e5. Either one is good. Asterbate naturally trying to develop his pieces. I mean, it looks like a good move. I don't really see why knight f3 is bad, except for the fact that it blocks your queen. That's the one problem. Anyways, black plays now the Larsen-like d5. Larsen did this in a Dutch once, like some kind of crazy Dutch. He had like all of his pawns hanging simultaneously, but you can only take one at a time or something. If you take here, you know, he pushes past or whatever. That's kind of funny. So what does Asterbate do? Yes, d4. The symmetry. It's probably not good though. He can take on d4 and then take. This is Asterbate got carried away. He got carried away in the spirit of things, and I think there's a problem, Houston, after this move. He's got just like take here, and now it doesn't look so great. You probably have to play like bishop e3 and hope that he falls for knight takes e4. Pawn takes e4, queen h5 check, picking off his bishop on c5, I guess. Asterbate just got carried away with being aesthetic. He couldn't help it. He's not focusing on playing the best move anymore. He's kind of messing around. D takes e4, and that's a weird decision. So you can just take his bishop. You should take his bishop. It's a valuable piece. And white is actually doing well. Despite the queen exchange, like queen takes d1, I don't know, maybe even king takes. I'm not sure. Pawn takes f3, pawn takes e5. You have to be better here. Pawn g2 just develops a piece. You have a monster. You have monster bishops. It's crushing. But Asterbate again, he's going for queen h5 now. And there it is. He couldn't resist. Oh man, you're not going to get mated on f2, are you? Is that... No, it's not mate. Now it's not mate. He's got the hiding square on d1. So I haven't seen this game, but I suspect there's a strong possibility it will feature queen f2 in the near future. One would expect g6, knight takes g6, queen f2 check, king d1, with unclear consequences. Then knight f6, right? And then we don't have queen h4. So I don't know what the heck is going on there. It looks kind of disturbing, actually. White is lost. So you're just lost. You're playing a bogus... The position is a bogus lie for white. It's a bogus lie. And this is your submission. King f8, mate with queen f7. Haha. Didn't see mate in one. Asterbate. That's almost as cheap as like bullet chess and puzzles. You could probably like have a few hundred viewers if you did a stream here on Twitch playing chess like this, honestly. Right now we have 15 viewers. I'm trying to be serious, but with chess like this, you could have a serious audience. Real chess is underappreciated. Queen f7 mate. 100 cent upon loss for white, 241 for black. Good game. Alright, so we're down to our last couple of games for the stream. It's getting late. I've got Asterbate, Kakatiri, Yubades, Uber, Princess, and Turkey Farm are the last two. Last but not least, Princess submitted this right before the stream. Greetings if you have room for analysis. It's a training game I played this morning. Princess Chess versus Chess Trends. Princess Chess playing... Who is Chess Trends? 1500, but a strong player. Chess Trends 2400. Lee Chess. At least a strong expert. Let's take a look. Playing with white. E4, E6, French. D4, D5, exchange. I'm not gonna say anything about the exchange French. It was played by many great players in the 1800s. I'm gonna finish my beer while contemplating how to phrase this. Actually, I've been playing it with C4. I like really opening it up as I played against Alms in our Tuesday stream. This variation isn't really threatening either, but it's a very open position where it's easy for players to make tactical mistakes later on. So I think that's the most interesting and most aggressive. You know, I never really put it on the engine. Stockfish 11, it looks like it thinks 0.2 advantage for white with the standard moves. Let's see what it says about C4. See it equal. Stockfish just not digging bishop b4 check, allowing black to develop quickly. You've been doing that queen e2, c4, king's Indian attack lately. You know, I remember you played that against me, didn't you? Like back when you first started watching my stream, Turkey Farm? Am I misremembering? There was somebody, you've been watching for a long time. And, yeah, well, I got you confused with Zen Chess at one point. And then I started realizing that it wasn't Zen Chess, and I was like, who was it? Because Zen had been on the stream. And you guys maybe started playing on the stream approximately around the same time. Even though he's higher rated than you a little bit, at least on Blitz. I kind of got confused. Because he played other stuff. He plays the Closed Sicilian. But I couldn't remember who it was for a while, and I started thinking, was that Zen Chess? And I asked him, he's like, I never played a King's Indian attack. So I knew it was somebody. It has to be you. Anyways, bishop d3, bishop d6, knight f3. And you know an interesting thing about this? There was this guy on ICC, the Tooth Fairy, who was this weird account. He strangely got the I Am title at a very late age, which was suspicious, but I don't even know if he's still alive. That's another story. But he used to play the Exchange. I watched him play my student. He played the Exchange French or something. And always played the Exchange French. But he had to play Rajabov once at a real tournament over the board. And Rajabov did this. He did he plays a 2200 player, has to win, and plays 97. 97 in Castle Kingside. You're playing against the guy who's trying to draw you with black. Rajabov plays the most solid, absolutely correct, boring, safe way and beats the guy in an endgame, grinding him down. With this guy playing for a draw. He's an expert playing for a draw with white. And you got Alyekin, which I've discussed with Mr. Coffee, how to play these lines with I don't know, knight c6, you castle queenside, bring the bishop out, try to play a maniac. It was just interesting to see Rajabov, a premier French defense player, play against somebody blatantly playing for a draw with white, and he just goes with a safe, solid knight e7 and is able to grind the guy down. This is the most safe and correct way for black to play. Black playing bishop f5. And this is the nightmare with white. But you're basically playing for a draw, essentially. If you must play for a win against the French with the exchange variation, Maybe, maybe, I don't know. I mean, even knight c3 is a little more interesting. We're just thinking like transfer over to the king side, or what I said with c4. Anyways, knight e7, bishop g5. Like, I don't know this. I don't understand really. It looks like bishop g5 was just a rare move. It looks kind of weird to play bishop g5. Trying to induce, like... Yeah, improving his bishop, of course. I mean, dude, like, think about how illogical it is. e4, e6, d4, d5. You're not only, like, trading your central pawn for an e6 pawn, but you're trading and, like, opening up black's bishop on c8. Yeah. Well, the other point of knight e7 is that black can play f6. That's why the guy's putting his knight on e7. So bishop g5 is some kind of weird line. It looks like the most common move is f6. This does slightly weaken the position. But I don't think it's significant, you know? Like, who's played this with white? Pretty much nobody. Like, Biolek is an IM. Maybe a GM, I don't know. The other guy, maybe. But, I mean, what are they doing? They're playing for a draw against other strong players. Although, then again, if you wanted to play for a draw, why would you play bishop g5? This is a provocative move. Princess Chess isn't playing for a draw. She's just playing this because that's what she knows. It's a crazy move that b3 is the #1 move of the engine here. That is upsetting. It's upsetting that Todor Todorov plays this with white, too. He was on my stream, like, last year. Played me a couple of blitz games. He has a crushing positional style. I also lost against him a heartbreaking game in Vienna in 1996, where I was, like, killing him, and he got away. But this move, b3, that's crazy, dude. So the idea is to play bishop a3? Are you serious? Todor Todorov versus Vladimir Gergiev. We have an even score against their team. 1-1. Bishop f5 and bishop a3. That's such classic Todor Todorov. That's not the best move according to the engine, though. Do you remember when Todor... Was anybody here when Todor played these blitz games with me? He would do, like, bishop h3 and the King's Indian or something. It's always about, like, trading off his bad bishop for the other guys. Good bishop. Some kind of weird maneuvers, like hyper-positional. He actually has a student now in First Saturday playing in the tournaments here. Momchil Petkov or something like that. And the guy's actually coming to these tournaments with him as a trainer. But I haven't seen him since Austria. Anyway, b3, that's crazy that's Stockfish's #1 move. Bishop g5, f6, bishop h4. So we're trading off our bishop if we can. Knight f5. So now it looks like one of those bishop g5 pseudo-Trompowskis. Very, like, logical play by black. The computer thinks that white is better. Wow. Bishop g3. So this diagonal. This is like London system theory idea. Kamsky is probably down with this. If that diagonal is worth anything, we're going to take advantage of it. Well, black doesn't have a bad knight. She is playing a master strength player here. Knight e7, bishop e6, castle kingside. Uh-oh. I'm a little bit nervous about that. It looks like black is actually delaying castling and thinking about castling queenside himself. And I don't like the fact that we're in line for this pawn storm. Can I get a pawn storm on aisle 5? So we're gonna castle queenside. Screw that, man. I'm not castling into that. Why can't you just play queen c2? Well, whatever. Queen c2 or queen e2. I don't know which is better. Maybe even queen c2. And you castle when you want to castle, and I'll castle when I want to castle. But I'm not castling kingside into your freaking pawn attack. I am not going to play into your hands here. But Princess Chess just like naively castled kingside. This is a good player. That's not a good idea. Let's wait and see what his intention is. You know, if he's going to castle kingside, that's fine. But I don't want to commit first. So this is definitely not good. Queen e7c, and he's going to go castle queenside and then try to blow you up with the pawn storm. It's not that bad because we can always trade the bishop, but the problem is the knight on f3. The knight on f3 is in the oncoming path of the pawn storm. Now that's kind of surprising. Why wouldn't black castle now? He's being tricky. Maybe he's going to put his king on f7 and not castle at all. It just occurred to me. He could castle. He obviously can castle queenside. My point was that the queen is misplaced in the way of the b pawn for white here. It would be kind of a good moment to castle for black. You're blocking your b pawn, which is standard. So he goes here, and now rook e1, h5, rook e2 is a good move, except for maybe this. And then black just suddenly realized he's about to suffer some problems. I think I like this better. I just slightly like queen c2 better. Black could also, yeah, I guess knight takes is forced. Alright, here, here. Really? Black could castle kingside, right? Even now, it's not that ridiculous. Topalov would have no problem with that. White has the funny move knight h4, but then he takes. And after rook takes, you have queen g4, which is kind of an issue. Maybe not a big deal. Still, it's a big deal, though. Yeah, black was overconfident. b6 now. So you have knight h4. Knight h4. Rook e7. Just for kicks and giggles. I mean, this is interesting. Alright. Queen c2, solid move, king f7. And now she plays knight h4. Nice. And now grovel for a draw. That guy from the Tooth Fairy would be thrilled. This is like his dream position. To get this against Rajabov and draw. Again, you're too much in a hurry to trade pieces. You know, you want to be very accurate. Probably queen d3. You're giving black an advantage. Maybe by trading first. I know he can't take with the queen, but even so, I like this better. So it's a draw, but it's complicated with lots of pawns on the board. It's like the time I had queen n7 against queen n7. Actually, I always joke that that never happens, but now that I think about it, there are probably a lot of queen n7 versus queen n7 queen endings like this in the French exchange. Yeah, I mean, this guy should be a huge favorite against Princess Chess in an endgame. He should be good. I mean, I don't know how strong he is objectively, but I don't like this e4 square. You don't want to give him access to e4. And this is just a blunder. Princess Chess is doing the Vera Menchik, where you try to trade any exchange you can do. Like she did a famous game against Capablanca, where she tried to trade all the pieces too hard and then just kept giving him like slight advantages. Maybe it's still a draw, but I mean, you're coming very close to being seriously worse here. She was lucky. She's probably okay. What? It's probably okay. Oh no. Still a draw. Or is it? Yeah. I mean, it looks like it was a draw fairly late, even until around here. I suspect white's still holding. I would suspect white's still holding here. Maybe it's too late with 94 check. So 96, you have 92, obviously. Black's slightly better, but I imagine that's a draw. 95 was okay. King f3 isn't as good as king e2. So king e2 is totally okay. Staying near the center. It's night and game. It's tricky. It takes a lot of experience to play. This is not the optimal place to be for a amateur player against a master. A night and game is not our dream. So, not easy. But white played a little too much for exchanges and made too many like tiny concessions, leaving black with a slightly better ending and setting himself up to lose here. All right, last game. Last but not least, Turkey Farm. Thanks for staying with us with a late submission. Yeah, not all masters are good in endgame. I mean, I have this one teammate, Pro Rock Martin, and he's like a FIDE master. I mean, I don't mean to insult him if he's out there in the internet world, but he would laugh. He could take it with a good smile. He's like terrible in endgames, but extremely strong in middle game and tactics. It's amazing. He's like Morphe in the middle game and like awful in endgames. Some people just don't necessarily identify with like simplified positions for some reason. So not all masters are good in endgames. But most are stronger than amateurs, obviously. I think with younger players, Kakatiri, we're seeing more and more players who are, say, getting titles that aren't as good as time controls get faster. I think it's no longer like a given that somebody who's 2200 FIDE is good at endgames. 2300 FIDE, a FIDE master. It's no longer a given that they're good at endgames. I think in the old days it was more of a given. A little bit less now, as time controls seem to get faster. I'm seeing more and more horrible play by people in endgames. All right, Turkey Farm here. Here's an interesting game played against the Smith Mora man in the rapid pools. Somehow I seem to do pretty well against him, considering that was the last one. I'm sorry, that's an old one. This is another one. This is today's. This is against Lord Universe. This wasn't against the Smith Mora man. Lord Universe. That's kind of modest name. Your opponent might have an ego if he named himself Lord Universe. So, Lord Universe versus Testosterone. The Nimzo. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Maybe he's being sarcastic. So, Bishop G5. We saw a really interesting game with Sumaher earlier this week. H6, or last week, Bishop H4. So Turkey Farm, check this out. Play the computer move. D5, pawn takes pawn, C5. If you really want to mess someone up, you can go stockfish. No, this is a crazy... It's real. It's like a Rogozin. Some kind of crazy computer idea. It's sound. Magnus retired? Good. Best news I heard all day. We can finally be done with those stupid rapid tournaments he's running online all the time. Or he just like retired from chess so he could make more of those like never-ending Magnus International like things. Please don't joke and get my hopes up. No, this is real. It's funny. This is real. It's going to transpose some kind of Nimzo Rogozin. Like if white is sensible, it'll like give the pawn back. This is a very rare move order, Turkey Farm. First of all, okay, not too many people play Bishop G5. It's a very rare move. Look at the statistics. Move 5, there are 500 games here with Bishop G5, 9,500 with A3, 1,800 with Knight F3, and then 1,400 with E4. This is a rare move. H6 is good in any case, committing him to the diagonal. And now you can choose between your move and this freaky gambit. Now, a lot of people would take without thinking. And if you play C5, it's guaranteed to freak them out. So the weirdest one is this is a gambit, right, where we're very active. But the weirdest variation is this. So apparently, like, this isn't that clear. Black is down a pawn, right? The point is queen d4. You're hitting this. Maybe Uber Driver mentioned this. So check this out. This is like some kind of Adorian crap. You know, this looks like something he would have analyzed in the 80s. Knight f3, queen e4, double exclamation. That's the point. It's unbelievable. That's why this is sound. Are you serious? Queen e4. This isn't even in the Nimzo books yet. But a lot of people would fall for this. It's completely okay for black. But I think, like, if you ever played this against an experienced player, they would just bail out, you know. At this point, they're going to be like, whatever. I'm just going to transpose back into something, like, normal. But it's interesting. So you did the standard reaction, though. I mean, C5 is good. And now the guy just, like... It's funny. Once I had a game with this Russian guy from the Marshall in the World Open. What was his name? Sam Barsky. Sam Barsky played something like D5 against me in a similar... That was different variation, though. It's inappropriate, like D5. It's not appropriate. I mean, this is a standard line of the classical, right? Kozhel Kasparov. So he doesn't know that's theory? He plays D5 here? And there are games? Wow. Valery Bronzik. whoever that is. These are probably who are these people? Never heard of him, never heard of him. But Alexander Fier and Narciso played d5. I've got to admit, I mean, that is very bizarre. It is very bizarre for me that Fier and Narciso played this with white. I have to admit that is strange. It doesn't look right for white. It looks like overextending. I would be surprised these guys would play that. It looks awful for white. White is too slow here. So you could even play b5. That's what Gonzalez Vidal did. He's some Cuban, I think. Cuban master. Grandmaster, probably. That makes sense too. But just playing like a Benoni. This has to be good for black. Give me a break, man. I mean, he's totally overextended. He's going to castle queenside in the Leningrad Nimzo. Benoni. It's like the ultimate... This is the ultimate snake Benoni for black. Where you did like bishop d6, bishop c7, bishop a5, bishop b4. It's like you're up 3 tempi in a snake Benoni. Literally. It has to be good for black. And now he castled queenside. Why? Because he's like desperate. What is he supposed to do? This is crazy for white. Those other guys played d6. It's funny. Moisenko lost with black. Oh, wow. Moisenko lost to a Chinese guy in 2007. I like your move better. You're developing a piece. You've still got ideas with b5, maybe. Maybe we could just play without d6. It's more dynamic. This is a better move. Castle's queenside. Guys, I gotta go. So I'm gonna finish this out. Gotta be as dynamic as possible here. Could you allow bishop f6? Go berserk? Queen a5, bishop f6, and just recapture? The problem is rook d3. He's going to smoke you with some kind of Yevgeny Bareyev classical Nimzo maneuver. You got to be very, very careful. I don't like that. Maybe it's still, even that, like, isn't that bad. But I feel like you have to have something more dynamic. What about bishop takes c3? What about this? And then you can pop him with knight e4. If he takes with the queen, you play knight e4. Just out of curiosity, or even this. That might not be that clear, but let's say this. And bishop d8, knight c3, and you're totally fine. White's like overextended. White's slightly overextended. He's going to be fighting, I think, to maintain equality here. Is this correct? Yeah. This is correct. So he can try bishop takes, pawn takes to keep the pin. Yeah, and then you're going to have to kind of crawl out of your position. I mean, the computer wants to play crazy stuff like b5. But this is more natural. But it does look a little unpleasant, like this pin that you can't get out of. The never-ending pin. You could play g5, though, in a moment of desperation. I mean, I would imagine, like here, g5. And then all hell breaks loose. I mean, I don't know. What's he going to do? Queen d2 or something? He's going to sack piece? This is the third best line for white, right? Bishop takes and h4. So that's pretty cool. You could just take on c3. You played this. That makes sense, though. I mean, you're defending f6. It was kind of a cool idea. This was a cool idea. You played it like a Trompowsky, c5 Trompowsky, where you're defending. Is there some problem with this? Why is that double question mark? I have to admit, I mean, that does seem like a sensible move. Is there a problem with, like, knight a4 and your bishop gets trapped? Is that a thing? You're afraid of knight e4? What? Oh, you're afraid of knight e4. This was the sensible move. Knife God, welcome. This is a game, our last game for today. One of our subscribers, Turkey Farm, aka Testosterone, played black. Interesting opening. He could have played bishop takes c3. I wonder what the computer says. It wants to just calmly play d6. And this is how Moisenko lost. Damn. Yeah, I mean, it feels a little passive for black. I'm not completely surprised that he lost. I would have gone with this approach. It's like, after this, apparently you do have knight d5. This is a wild variation. I would be concerned about playing this with the WJ Loof bishop on h4. So, I mean, safer to go here. That's what I would do in a tournament game. And again, I think that black is by choice here. Computer claims it's equal, but white feels a tiny bit overextended. That was a safe thing to do. So queen b6. Wow. You're crazy, dude. Amazing idea, though. I was concerned about knight a4, but in the previous position. So he doesn't have knight a4 here. Wow, apparently he can force you to repeat position. Queen d8, knight c3. That's funny. I mean, you could play this, but it's rather awkward. We don't want to do that. Queen a5, and your bishop is trapped. Ish. Yeah, it's Leningrad Nimzo, where white played d5. Very strange. Knight c3. Anyway, position f3, rook e3. You're a maniac. Rook d3. c4. This is a neat move. And like, we're out of the woods, like, clearly now. And you had this amazing move that you missed. Wow. In the heat of battle, I don't know what the time control was. What kind of time control is that? 15 plus 9? Lucky numbers or something? 15, the classic 15 plus 9 tournament. Dude, that's funny. Knight d5. What a messed up position. So the guy's totally busted. So you just took the pawn, like the simple variation. So after this, it's not so easy suddenly. Your d pawn remains backward. This is easy to see. This is an issue. Right. It's like an f3 Nimzo. If this d5 square, if the status remains under white's control, and your c4 pawn, not only could you lose your pawn, you could actually easily, like, be worse if you lose control of the key central square d5. So you have to be very careful here. Major concession, giving up your bishop. He takes with the king, but not an automatic move. Check. Wow. This is the Twilight Zone game, man. King takes. Knight takes b2. Yeah, and this guy is he messing around? King c5. He's really got carried away. He wants to put his king on d6. Lord Universe. It's a little much to expect here. So the computer says the best move was d6 check. Very hard to find. Ensuring that black's pieces can get out smoothly. This is a crazy game, dude. I'm glad you put it in there. b6 check, more natural. That's his idea, obviously. You can't be too materialistic now. Don't be afraid to give him a pawn back. This is definitely an f3 Nimzo. King e8, passive, f4. The wrong idea. I mean, the knight is heading for d5. Yeah, I'm freaking out. Like if this was an over the board game and I was like short of time, I would be like hyperventilating. I don't like that. I am terrified of knight f4 and knight d5. I would consider playing g5 actually in this position. It weakens you, but I mean, should you consider g5 just to stop him? Seriously? Looks like it's a reasonable move. It's in the top 3 suggestions. I don't know if you considered it. I mean, you could be burned later on by h4 though. It's a great idea, but you have to be very careful. I mean, you could get completely devastated by h4 and opening up your king on the h file. It could be like fatal. You'd have to very carefully judge that. So you're like paralyzed. Yeah, this guy's a creative guy, but his king is too far out there. Now it's opposite-colored bishops, and you're losing g7. Damn. I would guess it's like equal, probably. What is he going to do now? Like put his king on f6? Is that the next stage? He's going to play king e5, king f6 to try to play for the win? Yeah, it's the best move. I can't believe it. After all that, he didn't play king e5. Are you serious? Once he played king c5, king d6, now the guy's a chicken to play king e5 and king f6. Are you serious? This guy? He could play like the ultimate game of chess. And the whole theme would be the active king, like bishop h6 and walk in here. And now he chickens out. Unbelievable. And now you're like kind of out of the woods, it looks like. Although rook c8 looks like a better move. Clear the c file. At least you got him to step off. And you played h5, but your pawn is hanging. Yeah, it's pretty scary. What are you going to do? So apparently he's like clearly better. Wow. Opposite-colored bishop dynamism is important. He gets an h pawn down. So he could have played h5. It's going to be hard to stop that pawn, dude. And you're just way too materialistic. Your pawn isn't a million miles away. I mean, look at that. Look at that bishop on g7 controlling the queening square, and you've got nothing on the queen side. Just unbelievable. Somehow you saved this? No. It's over. Yeah, you're lost now. You were lost after this move. You have to be making preparations for this. f5, diagonal, and you were okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's a long time control. Like, there's no excuse for these blunders with 9-second increment. I mean, you got to have a sense of danger here. You know, I know you can play really well. But, I mean, the h-pawn is, like, game over. You have to find f5. I mean, there's no way you have time to be, like, grabbing his pawns on a2 or whatever. You have to defend against the threat of h4, h5, h6, h7, h8. And you just, like, ignored it. Of course he's winning. Is it too late for f5 now? Even f5 now. Here, 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 and sack your rook. Even now, like, it's not clear. I guess. It may not be too late. 2 pawns for the exchange. I wouldn't be sure about this. You might be okay here. That's like the last moment where it's still not clear to me. Black may be hanging on in this position. It's kind of scattered, but there's a chance. Anyway, interesting game, man. Thanks for sharing. Guys, I gotta go. It's late. Tomorrow morning, we'll see you all at 11 a.m. for Blitz. Open challenges. Thanks, guys, for subscribing, for donating, supporting the Ponda. I didn't realize our camera's still frozen. No, it's good. I thought it was frozen. All right, it's good. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Hopefully gave you some insights. Thanks, everyone, for subscribing, for supporting the stream. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. Thanks for the donations. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Blitz challenges. Bye-bye.